Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to another week, another edition of ESL Open Cup Asia number 217. I'm, of course, your site VIP, and with me, I'm joined by these amazing players, by my plushies, and by the people in the chat as well. Welcome, everyone, to your weekly dose of Korean StarCraft! !B in the chat. If you guys want to have a look at the bracket yourselves, the bracket, it's big, it's large, it's stacked, and we have our first two starting players. We're going to be kicking things off with Stats versus Rex in a PVZ. A pretty intense first match to kick things off, and it can lead us to some really interesting places as well. Again, you can check out the bracket yourselves. We'll go over it after the series because we're jumping right into game number 1. And spawning in the top left-hand corner of Hardlead, we have our South Korean Protoss player. The red Protoss, representing himself, currently teamless, looking deserving to be on a team. It is the ex-military Protoss, Stats. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the blue Zerg player from the land of Taiwan, representing his new team, Offside. It is Rex. Here we go. Again, Rex was on Onside. Onside is no longer really a team. It's a little bit complicated, but they were acquired. They were acquired by Team Vitality. Onside instead produced a sister team, kind of a branch-off team, if you will, and that is what Offside is. I believe Offside is sponsoring and supporting Rex alongside Firefly, alongside Control, and even GGE Mini as well. So yeah, it's really cool to see that Onside / Team Vitality are still willing to support even more than just their main roster. It's really cool to see, and I wonder if they're even willing to compete in WTL. We'll find out. We'll find out in the upcoming season. But until then, we're diving into our PVZ. Again, Stats, you know, a year ago now, has returned from the military. He's been improving. He's been getting better and better. He relatively recently, he recently did qualify for IM Katowice, was a part of the main event as well, and he's been having some moments of brilliance, even a couple of days ago, right? A couple of days ago, we casted ESL Open Cup Americas, and Stats took a game off of Solar, which was impressive. I don't think many people expected that, but Stats, he did pop off, he did make Solar sweat, and hey, was able to make a series out of that. So again, Stats showing us that he has it in him to go with some of the best Zerg players out there in the world. Consistency is really what we're looking for with Stats. You know, he has moments of brilliance, but can we really bring it out when we need it most? That is the question. That is the real question here. Well, that's what he's working on, I should say. For now, Gate Expand into the Cyber Core. Do have that double gas as well from Stats. So standard opener from our Protoss player. We force the unnatural natural out of Rex, as to be expected, and Rex is just going for a standard opener himself, going for the hatch gas pool. Nothing out of the norm yet. No early gases, no fast third base, no prioritization of roaches or lair. Likewise, our tech of choice is a Stargate. Based on the pylon placement, again, Stargate opener made plenty of sense here for Stats. His goal here is to go Oracles, to get across the map, to get some economic damage done, to expand and take a third base. Everything so far is by the book. Now, if you weren't here couple of days ago, if you weren't here for the Americas Weekly, and if you didn't see Stats versus Solar, essentially what occurred is Stats was able to pull off a bit of an all-in. He played very aggressively. Off of 2-base and then 3-base play, Stats would be very in your face with, I want to say, +1 Blinkstalker timing with 8 gateways, followed by Robo Immortal production, Robo Colossus production, and he failed to do so in Game 1. He succeeded in Game 2. Game 2, he was able to really get into his stride against Solar and execute his build, but it was the same build 2 games in a row. I'm curious if it's going to be the same build here, where we go into a very Blinkstalker heavy aggression in the aftermath of this opener, leading into double Robo Colossus. We shall see. Likewise, I believe, if I remember correctly, he did take the game off of Solar on Hardlead, just because of how small the map is, just because of how unforgiving this map can be, as we get a couple of drone kills. The Oracle does manage to barely get away. 3 drones in total. I just realized we do not have WCS Game Heart. I will message the players about that in the future game, in game number 2. Until then, we have to count, Bobby. We have to count. Do have to count. So now Stats, he is going to be getting into his third base, as we did mention. Oracle's going to be threatening across the map. They're going to be massing, they're going to be dipping in between the bases here, in between both the third and the natural. So far, no major damage dealt. I appreciate that we're even picking up some of these tumors, slowing down the aggression of Rex. And there's that follow-up. Twilight Council is on the way, but I don't see the Forge. I don't see the +1. So an interesting follow-up here from Stats. We'll keep an eye out for the Forge and more gateways are being thrown down. This is looking very committed. The reason why I say this could be Glaives, this could be Blink, but if it is Blink, I would imagine more gateways thrown down behind this. So we'll keep an eye on Stats on how all-in he wants to be. The reason why I say all-in, again, without the Forge, without +1, our longevity in this game just isn't really there. We aren't really thinking further ahead from the side of Stats. As the they break their way through, they trade with the Lings, they blink the hell out of there, and we still have 3 Oracles to support. There it is, Blink is on the way. This looks like an old school 3-base Blink all-in. I say it looks like it, we'll keep an eye on the gateways. If we go up to 8 gates, then that's going to be it. So far, we throw down 2 more, that's going to be 6 gates in total. Still very aggressive here from Stats on 3 bases. Hasn't teched up any further. No Robo, no Forge, no Templar Archives. We'll see if additional gateways are thrown down. As we do pick off an Overlord here in the center of the map. Overlord is going to be shut down. We do see Rex going for a safety Roach run, getting his own Evo Chamber up and running. Rex is going to be working with Ling Roach here initially. He's going to be working with a Ling Roach army, but Stats is going to be very in his face. This does look very similar to the all-in that he did against Solar, where he's going to be hyper aggressive with Blink Stalkers. He's going to be going for another big warp in, reinforcing, pushing, and then behind this, still no Forge. He'll go for a Bay and a Robo and into Colossus. Yeah, there we go. Pylon has been thrown down. The all-in is upon us. Ay, ay, ay. With this, we can, of course, reinforce here on the front lines. Stalkers are pushing out, and the pressure is on Rex. Can he slow this down? Again, it took him a little bit to really recognize what was going on. Roaches are coming out. Stasis Trap does connect here with some of these Lings. Good stasis. Creating a force field. There we go. Big warp in here on the front lines. Right here to reinforce for Stats. Keeping the pressure up. Lings are getting shaved off, and now we're getting a couple of the Queens. We get 1. 1 Queen goes down, and you can see that Rex, he's barely holding on. Lings are running out. And again, we have to hold on to these Queens. Transfuse barely keeps on alive a little bit longer, but it does go down. And so the Blink, so far, the Blinks have been on point. Keeping these Stalkers alive. Another stasis gets baited up, but there are so many Stalkers. There's just too many. Too many at this point. Lings are going down. We can dive on top of the army, on top of the Queen. How many Stalkers have we lost? 4 Stalkers for 52 Lings. An insane trade. And again, behind this, there's no follow-up. Now we throw down the Robo and the Forge. This will be for +1 for eventually Colossus production, as we mentioned. But I don't think we need it. Like, Stats, he's been trading so well already, but he needs to get on top of the Roaches. That's the dangerous thing right now. He's been killing Lings. What about the Roaches? What about them? The Bile gets thrown down on the stasis, does shut it down. Baliness on the way, +1 finishing up Roach Speed, just now done as well. Again, Stats has been killing a lot of Lings, but only 3 Roaches have fallen. And because of that, the Roach count has been slowly getting higher and higher here for Rex. So far, it has been a good defense. And Stats just hasn't barely been able to break through. Behind this, 2 more gateways, by the way, so it is going to be up to 8 gates. 4th base thrown down. Rex is going to be able to push this back. He's going to be able to force this away. Stasis gets triggered on only 3 Lings. Only 3 of those Lings. And Stats, he is losing ground. He is losing ground. Rex, he feels confident enough to drone. He's going to be saturating his bases. And the problem here, because all this tech is late, because all of this tech is delayed, Stats is in a really difficult position. He didn't have a lot of longevity coming into this, and Rex is snowballing out of control. Rex is the one with the better economy. Rex is the one with the better upgrades. Infestation Bit's on the way for eventually Hive Tech. Like, Rex is getting further ahead. And we'll see what he can make use of that lead, as he's going to get supply blocks for a moment. Overlord does go down. Roach is rotating over towards the left-hand side. Pick up a couple of those roaches behind this. We're working towards Charge, Temple Archives, Archon Production. Instead of going for the Colossus, we're going for Storm. So I like that we're kind of going in a different direction. We're making use of the Robo, making Immortals as many as we can. We're trying to produce an anti-roach army as quickly as possible. Rex should be the first to max out. He hasn't droned too much though. His 5th is late. His 5th base is delayed here. As a result, we don't have 80 workers. As a result, we're not maxing out as quickly as we otherwise could, as we otherwise should. So even though Rex has held, he's still not in the perfect position. Maybe a better way of putting it. So this could still go either way. Stasis traps being triggered once again on Lings. That's a lot of stasis traps. A lot of traps, Papi, as Rex, he has to pull back at the same time, moving forward here with his Ling Bane. Catches some of these Stalkers, not the best trade. Banelings, they head towards the middle line. Quick reaction out of stats. He does wall off. Does he, though? He doesn't. The Banelings, they roll in. Quick blink there out of stats. Shuts down the Banelings. Again, they tickle Stalkers. They do barely any damage to them. We tank the Banelings. We save the probes. Good defense so far. Rex rotates around. Heads towards the natural base. Going for the Stalkers. The Stalkers doesn't quite find a way in. Immortals are amassing in the natural base. Oh! They are amassing. Meanwhile, with that Hive Tech, I was not expecting this direction to be taken, but we're working towards Ultras. I mean, we have +2 melee, May as well. Ultra production on the horizon here for Rex. Rex has been able to get his 5th up and running. Still, we're lacking drones. Again, I'm really concerned with the lower drone count, but we'll see if Rex can sustain himself. Oh, as workers not droning, not mining here on the right-hand side. And stats, he's pushing through towards the center. Storm is done. Big storm here on the Ling Bane. Oh my god. Yeah, we take the storms to the face. Rex pulling back at the same time. Blinkstalker's pushing on the right-hand side. And can Rex defend? He's trying to come in from behind. He's trying to collapse on this from behind, but he gets caught out by the Stalker army. The Roach Ravager cannot engage. And Rex, he plummets in supply. Yeah, he bleeds out far too many roaches. The fight did not go well. Again, he was caught out, tried to surround, but he got caught, and the Mass Blink Stalker, snowballing out of control, breaks through the Overlords. Breaks through into the natural. GG gets called, and Stats will take game number 1. Whew. GG. Oh, share my papi, share my. GG, well played. Stats, he was able to bring it back. Again, his initial... Hold on, I should fix this. His initial 3-base all-in did not work, is what I will say. Rex had a really nice defense. I have to kind of put a little bit more emphasis on the fact that Rex did not really lose any roaches in the defense, right? He was only bleeding out Lings. He bled out 2 queens as well, but nothing too major, so he was able to hold his own. The follow-up after the initial 3-base all-in defense, that is where Rex struggled. That is where Rex wasn't as greedy as he could have been, as he should have been. He wasn't able to get into his 5th, wasn't able to get up to 80 workers, and he wasn't able to sustain himself and keep up with the second all-in, the second push from Stats. That is where he was lacking. And with that, Stats did snowball out of control. Rex, he was trying to set up for surrounds and of the like, but again, things just escalated far too quickly, out of control. And Stats takes a lead in this series. Does take a lead, and now we're getting into game number 2, and can Rex bounce back? Again, I do think both Stats and Rex are pretty comparable in skill, especially after what we just saw. I do think there was opportunities for Rex, as there were for Stats. So, personally, I'm hoping for an ace match. I'm hoping we can go all the way, we can go the distance, and make it to game number 3. But the pressure is now on our Zerg player. And spawning in the top left-hand corner of side Delta, we have our red Protoss player representing himself, currently teamless, looking deserving to be on the team, leading the series 1-0. It is Stats. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the Taiwanese Zerg player, the blue Zerg representing team offside. It is Rex. Offside, he is... Oh, offside. Rex, he is struggling a little bit in this series. The pressure is on again. It's only a best of 3, so one more misstep, one more loss, And that is the end of Rex's tournament run. So he has to fight back here and now. And what's important about what we just saw is that Stats has been whipping out a lot of 3-base play these past couple of weeks. We pointed out that that's how he was able to take a game off of Solar with a 3-base all-in. Well, with the 3-base timing, I should say, from Solar. Here in game 1 against Rex, it was just a straight-up 3-base all-in, where he was able to transition out of it. So he hasn't really shown us too much, and I'm sure he has many more builds up his sleeve. So we'll keep an eye on Stats. We'll keep an eye on his worker count, on the base counts, on how many gateways he has, and on his tech, or even his lack of tech. Keep an eye on Stats. Meanwhile, Rex, Hatchgas Pool, standard opener. If he wanted to be aggressive here, offside is difficult for the Zerg player to go for something like a 3-base all-in. Hard lead would have been a good map for it because the short rush distance on hard lead. That's also why I think that it works even better for Stats, as he was aggressive on a smaller map. The problem with Side Delta, longer rush distance by ground compared to hard lead. On top of that, we have a ramp. We have a ramp coming into the natural base. It is much more defendable, much more difficult to break. So again, aggression is a little bit more difficult, or it's harder to pull off. Not impossible, but harder here on this map instead. So we shall see how our players will approach it. Overlord comes in, we confirm the opener, confirm the gate expand into Cybercore. We have our tech of choice. Once again, Pylon thrown down on the edge of the main base. It is going to be a Stargate opener from Stats. This should be leading once again into Oracles. This isn't really the best setup for something like a Void Ray opener, so Oracles into a 3rd base, into triple Oracle, should be on the horizon once again. Now, speaking of this standard opener, what I will say is that Rex had really good defense. If you remember, only 3 drones went down to Oracle Harass. Very impressive stuff there by Rex to be able to hold his own and to be able to minimize his losses against those Oracles initially. We'll see if he can do it again. If not, then even Stats could snowball out of control. Again, you have to defend, and everything's like on a fine knife's edge here early on. If Rex gets caught out of position, then things can very quickly escalate, as the Oracle is on the way. Is going to be on the way. Likewise, Adepts are moving out through the center. Going to be shading across the map. Once again, we have our second gateway. When it comes to these 2 Adepts, they can be quite threatening, but we have to babysit them. They can one-shot drones. 2 Adepts do one-shot a worker, which is quite terrifying. But at the same time, if they get caught out, if they get shut down, then your 3rd base is that much more vulnerable. And very quickly, the Zerg player can punish and deny your 3rd if you lose your Adepts. So we cancel the shade. Oracle comes in, heads towards the main base. Queens are in position, no Spore. And we will get 1 drone. We barely get a 2nd worker as well. We take a lot of hull damage. The Oracle will escape. 2 drones for now is okay, as long as we keep the Oracle alive. As long as we keep it alive here. 2nd Oracle's moving out. At the same time, Lings are moving out across the map. Those 2 Adepts that were harassing, they should be back at home. And we don't quite have the best setup here because the Adepts are across the map. Oh. They are across the map instead. We shade into the natural. Queens are in position. Very good body blocking here. The Adepts, they don't get in. They don't get any damage whatsoever. Lings, they come back home, and the Adepts, they get shut down. Not a single drone falls. Very nice defense. At the same time, Oracle was able to not quite get a worker. 0 kills on the Oracle. Queens are in position as well. Really clean defense out of Rex. Very similar to the last game, as the Oracles are forced back. Adepts were killed. Now Lings coming for a counterattack. Thankfully, we worked in additional Adepts. Oh, and that is an early lair. That is a 4-minute 40 lair timing. I'm curious what this will be for. At the same time, Stats, same build. No Forge. Twilight Council, no Forge in the main base. This looks like we're going up to 6 gates again. Meanwhile, Lings, they get across the map. They kill both Adepts. Both Adepts will go down. We collapse here on one of the Stalkers as well. Very nice surface area. The Stalker should barely go down. So really nice pickups here by Rex, punishing the fact that the Adepts did fall earlier. But outside of that, what about the pull-up push? There it is. As mentioned before, 6 gateways. 2 gateways here at the natural, 4 gateways in the main base. No Forge, no +1, no Robo. It's going to be 6 gate Blink Stalkers. We're pushing out on 3 bases, the same build as game 1. And we'll see if Rex can have a better response this time. Meanwhile, big shout out in the chat. Oh my god, Bappy. Shout out to Psych_SC2 for gifting some subs, gifting 5 subs to the community, to Arez, to iTurtle, Angry Ben, Let Me Play With Your Kitties, and Arn. Stay away from my kitties. Regardless, thank you so much for the gifted subs. We appreciate the support. Gracias, papi, gracias. Thanks to the support that we get on the channel, we can, of course, fund our own events, and we do host a weekly tournament that we hosted yesterday, the Sparkling Tunica. Thank you. Thank you, papi. Thank you. Meanwhile, the 3-way soul-in is here. The proxy pylon has been thrown down. We can reinforce on the front lines. If this looks familiar, it should, because again, same build as game number 1. I mean, hey, it kind of worked in game 1, so why not do it here in game number 2? But again, this time, Rex, I'm sure, is better mentally prepared. He also had a better start to the game. He was able to trade better. He lost and minimized his drone damage, his worker losses. Stasis Trap is set up. Oh! Stasis Trap is baited out here by only 3 Lings. 1 Stalker almost gets picked up. So far, no major losses here for Rex. Stats, the pressure is on. Another big warp in. 6 Stalkers at a time. That's a lot of Stalkers, Pappy. That is a lot of Stalkers. This is a faster transition. Okay, Stats, he's not feeling it. If you remember, we were attacking for a solid minute or 2 for Stats before he did back off. Now, Forge is on the way. Robo is on the way. 2 more gateways. That's his 7th and 8th gateway. Stats is not feeling confident. He's already backing up from the all-in. Does apply some pressure. But again, Rex, he is looking strong. He does have his army. He's amassing his roaches, his lings. Much faster infestation bit this time. Much faster pit into Bailey Nest as well. Do we have roach speed? We do. If you remember, we got a faster lair that led into very fast roach speed. If you remember earlier, last game it did finish alongside +1 melee. This time, much earlier. +1 range is on the way. Interesting. Okay, with +1 range, this is going to be telegraphing as Lings, they get in. Oh my god. Lings, they bust into the main. But +1 range telegraphs that this time we're not rushing into ultras. Ultras that never came to fruition in game number 1. Remember, Rex, he teched up the Hive, and he never got to make use of the Hive. Here, with +1 range, this feels like we're heading towards Hydra Lurker Viper. Feels like we're headed towards an army that benefits more from Hydras and Lurker, from +1 range, which would be Hydras and Lurkers. Hive is on the way. That'll be for Adrenal. That'll be for Viper Tech. But now we're sticking with Lingbane Roach Ravager. We collapse on the Stalkers. Ooh, a lot of Stalkers go down. Yeah, late reaction there from Stats. Big Stasis Traps, but still bleeds out Stalkers. Ooh, almost losing another. At the same time, Rex was able to scout the main base. I believe Rex saw the Storm. Let me just quickly double check. He saw the Temple Archives. Didn't see it researching, but Storm would make a lot of sense, especially compared to what happened last game. In game 1, we did go into Storm, charge into Immortals, into Archons. And there it is. As we mentioned, there's that Hydra Den. Again, +1 range leads into Hydras and Lurkers, which is what Rex is going for. I do like this a lot more because it's less risky than rushing into Ultras. We can actually get into Hydra Lurker in time for a fight, unlike the previous game. So this is going to be a faster and cleaner transition from Rex. Thought of well ahead of time. We do have Stalkers hitting that forward base. We deny the 5th. Oh, this is dangerous. Stage Trap goes off. Lings, they get us around. We force a recall. And we barely do save some of the Stalkers, but big Vials do connect. Stalkers, they get punished. A handful of them do escape, but a big catch there by Rex. And again, he needs a 5th base. It may even be worth double expanding. It may be worth it. There it is. Lurker Den is on the way. Adrenal as well. Soon to be Lurker upgrades. Rex, he is successfully taking up into Hydras and into those Lurkers. He needs a little bit more time. Meanwhile, Stats takes a 4th. Stats, he takes a 4th base. Looking to go for a bit of a longer game as well. Stage Trap goes up. Storms are amassing. That's a lot of High Templar. That is a lot of Storm. 5 Storms. Ay, ay, ay. And Storms, they work wonders against Lings and against Hydras, but what about Lurkers? As we have Dropalords on the way. Oh, wait, what? Okay. I was not expecting this. We have 6 Dropalords on the way here. I imagine for the Lings, maybe the Roaches as well. I mean, that's definitely a way to harass. Risky maneuver here from Rex. We'll see if it pays off. Dropalords are on the way. Overlord speed still halfway done. We're getting there. All the stats. He's going to be checking up that ramp. Does come across the Banelings. Will shut them down. Yeah, they are going to be cancelled. Good pick up there by stats. At the same time, on the right-hand side, the Oracles, they get eyes on the other base. Sorry, on the other army. On that secondary army. We are double expanding, as we did mention earlier, but these are still late 5th bases. But Rex has been able to join up to 86. Is going to have to main out over. He's oversaturated. But he has a good economy. Lurker upgrades are on the way. Do we have any lurkers yet? 7 lurkers are in production. And here comes stats. Drop lords are caught out. Ooh, big supply block there for Rex. I mean, I say big supply block, but there were 4 overlords on the way. But he's basically maxed out. And the lurkers, we've survived. The win condition here for Rex, or at least his goal in this game, was to survive long enough to get into lurkers, and we've done it. Now, we don't have the ideal army. We don't have any Vipers. Hydra Lurker Viper, and it's a solid unit composition for a reason. We are pushing forward. Roaches are getting picked up. The spine shots are brutal. Oh my god! They brutalize those Stalkers. The rest of the army going to be rotating over as all the storms they have arrived. At the same time, though, I believe Rex setting up for a counterattack. The Lings, they get caught out by the Zealots. Stats he sees, he knows. And he has Archons in position. Archons, cannons, shield batteries. He's ready for a counterattack. Yeah, he is ready for Rex. Ooh, and we're taking up into Sky Toss. Let's go. Stargate. Second Stargate's on the way. Fleet Beacon as well. Stats, he's turtling. At this point, I think he recognizes, especially with lurkers, we cannot push in. We cannot push into this army. It's not going to happen. So we may as well turtle and force you to push into me. So I like this outlook from stats. Again, basically it's, hey, come at me. Otherwise, I'm going to come out with mass carrier, with mass Sky Toss, and I'm going to outscale you. Now, thankfully, for Rex, we already have a Spire. And a greater Spire on the way. We have Neural in production, 3-3. Stalkers are trying to push in. Archon Immortal on the right-hand side. Stats is maxed out. He does need to trade out his army. He needs to free up supply for carriers. As he's only making 1. He only has room for 1. Gonna be able to clear up some creep. Rotate around. Clearing out whatever he can. Meanwhile, Rex setting up for us around. It is scouted. And Stats should be backing off. No, he keeps on pushing. Lurkers, they do reposition. We try to get on top of them. Ooh, but a mass amount of storms. We zone away the army. A little bit wasteful, sure, but again, we have plenty of storms to make use of. Stats, he will pull back. And we still have more storms available. So it's going to be difficult to engage. And again, throughout all of this, +1 air attack, +3 attack is on the way. Overseer in the main base was spotted, I believe, by Stats. He's going to be checking. He's going to shut it down. Likewise, Overlord's being shut down as well. It's a really nice cleanup. At the same time, Rex pushes through the left-hand side. He's going for the 4th base. Going for the 5th even. And no saturation, thankfully, for Stats. So even if he loses this, he won't lose a lot of probes. Yeah, 2 probes go down. Static defense is dealt with. At the same time, Stats breaks through on the right-hand side. He's pushing, but it looks like this Nexus should fall. Again, not the most important base for Stats. He's taking a center base instead. And can Rex hold? Can he survive the counterattack of Stats? Ooh, as we are pulling, we can keep going. We are pulling back with some of our lurkers. We keep some behind to kill the base. Yeah, and you can see the lurkers, they are in position. They stop any kind of move out. I assume Stats could maybe break the base on the right-hand side, but he didn't go for it. Oh, no. We pepper away at the army. Oh, 1 lurker goes down. The base survived. Okay, I was like, did the base survive? No, it's being rebuilt. It's being retaken. Stats once again pushing forward. But Stats has no intention of committing because of those carriers. Shuts down some of the overlords, gets an overseer, retreats. Backs off, takes the center base. Again, Stats dancing with the army. A delicate dance here between stats and these lurkers. Another lurker goes down. Big storm on the Hydras. Broodlords have revealed themselves. But the carriers have arrived. And how much anti-air do we have? How many corruptors do we have left over? 0. 0 corruptors. Every corruptor was just morphed into these Broodlords. And they're not going to help too much. Not against the Sky Toss. Hatchery goes down. Oh, can we get a High Templar? Can we take the storms to the face? Cloak is used. No detection. Oh. No Overseer. As we do have to pull back. Spine shots going up here. Yeah, we just mow our way through all these lurkers. They're going to be going down. Stats, he has a lot of momentum going his way. Can he break through? Looks like he will take down the Hydras and the Queens. Army is being forced back. Of course, Cloak did run out. Behind this, a bit of lurker harassing in the center base, but we do recall over. Shut down the lurker. And as the dust does settle, Rex, again, he was already working on air upgrades. 18 corruptors on the way. That's a lot of corruptors. 18 corruptors. How many Broodlords do we have? 11. We kept most Broodlords alive. How many did we lose? Any? No, not at all. Not a single Broodlord died. We're done with Hydra Lurker Viper. We're now about Broodlord Corruptor Infestor. At least that's what we should be working towards. No Infestors yet. No Spellcasters to speak of. But the Broodlords are breaking through. They get on top of the center base at the same time. Stats pushing on the left-hand side. Or pushing towards the south. Does deny the fresh mining base. But likewise, yeah, this base of Stats will also fall. 6th base is taken out. That's breaking through. He just took down one hatchery. He's going to get another as well. And Rex, he's racing back home. Now remember, a very important thing. Stats just recalled. Remember, he recalled here earlier to kill that one lurker. Recall is on cooldown. And the mothership is with the army, which means we can cash this out. Rex going for the dive. And there's no way out from here. Stats in a bit of trouble. How good are the storms going to be? He needs to zone away those corruptors. There we go. Zoning storms are thrown down, and Stats, he's making it back home. In a very tense moment. If he stuck around a little bit longer, then he would have been surrounded. He would have been swallowed up by Rex. Kills base, backs off, stalks on the right-hand side. They take down a lurker, deny more mining, and Rex, his economy is in shambles. His economy is struggling right now. He's on 54 workers, barely any mining going on. The hatchery may go down as well. Rex being pulled apart. He's responding with his corruptors. His control group's a little bit messed up there. Corruptors, they can't do anything against that army. The Broodlords, they stand strong, and a base goes down. What army are we working with? And the problem is that we can't move the Broodlords out of position, or they're so slow. Stalker falls, but we kill the base. And Stats, he's still in the driver's seat. Now, Rex has a super maxed army. Rex, he can win a fight. He can win a fight, then kill a base. But he's got to be quick. He has to be quick because Stats, he's building up a bank, and Stats, he can remax. He can remax his army. So these small trades and small skirmishes aren't going to be as viable. +3 melee is, of course, done for Rex. Lings turning back around. Stalkers clearing up a lot of creep here in the center. And Rex, we gotta go. We have to send it back. You see him just trying to wait for the army to expose itself. Stalkers are caught out. That's going to be a lot of Stalkers falling. Efficient trade for Rex. What kind of army are we working with? We have 8 High Templar. 4 High Templar with the main army. There's a lot of storms available as well. That's the problem right now. The biggest problem right now for Rex is those High Templar. If he can deal with them, then we can die. Then everything else will be cleaned up by the Mass Corruptor. +2 air attack is done for Rex. +2 flyer attack. We have a good amount of lurkers back at home to defend. Now, unfortunately, Rex, I believe he doesn't see the main army. Doesn't fully know where it is. Otherwise, we could ship away at it with the Broodlords. That's the ideal. You chip away at it, you can maybe get 1 High Templar, maybe an Archon here or there. At the same time, we catch out the army. Oh, we get an Immortal! And a good amount of Stalkers. Yeah, we get us around here. The Immortals are all going to go down. Big pickoffs by Rex. Meanwhile, the Stalker army is being reinforced, and Stats, he's pushing onto Creep. Pushing into the main army. Ooh. Storm thrown down. Zoning back those Corruptors. Yeah, Rex trading well towards the north. He's holding on towards the south, but we can't be passive like this. Because Stats, he's building up a bigger and bigger bank. Rex, he's not. He doesn't have any drones. He's on 38 workers. And Rex, he's not re-droning. We need to. We're on less than 40 workers right now. Our base is going to go down. Rex, he's all in. Like, Rex is pretty all in at this point. And he's bleeding out lurkers. Expensive losses for Rex. Infestor's on the way. Rex, he has to respond. He gets caught out of position. Stats, he's on top of a base already. We'll get the hatchery. Corruptors are coming in. Oh. Storms do send him away. We get an Oracle. It's something. Cloak is activated. Cloak is going to be activated. We do pull back. And we still are not droning. We still don't have much saturation going on, or we couldn't saturate the right-hand base. Yeah, Stats, he's in the driver's seat. Going to be recalling to the left-hand side, and his goal here to hit this base as well. And Rex, once again, out of position. He's on the right-hand side. Now is the moment. Statsy comes in. That's a kill, not a cancel on the hatchery. Hatchery goes down. The army's pushing in. The base is exposed, and this is the most crucial mining base for Rex. He cannot afford to lose it. This is keeping him in this game, and the base, it's going to be going down. Yeah, no bases left here for Rex. He's got a half a base here towards the south. He's got like one mineral patch here at his third. His economy is non-existent. He can still take a fight, but it's not going to be enough. Good feedback. Feedback by Stats, followed by the Storm. Will lose the High Templar. Yeah, Stats just taking that center base once again. Corruptors, oh, once again they threaten a dive. Don't quite commit. So Run By collapses on these lings, gets a lurker. And we get on top of these queens as well, and Stats is pulling Rex apart, getting a lot of value already, getting Hydras. Broodlords, they turn back around. Main army tries to push in. Again, Stats still being very careful with the main fight. It makes sense. I mentioned earlier, and I still stand by it, Rex can win a fight and then dive on top of bases. And it's possible, especially depending on how much Stats loses in the fight, it's possible that Rex could try to snowball out of control and win, just because it takes so long to rebuild Skytoss. Instead, we're going to have to rely on like Stalker Warpins against Broodlords, which is less than ideal. So, the remax of Stats, it's going to take some time. So there is a bit of a win condition there, or a way to win for Rex. It's just not easy. Gets a carrier. Good yoink. Does get a carrier. Looking for another. Again, how many Corruptors? We're on 32 Corruptors. Like the Skytoss is not really too much of a factor here against that many Corruptors. We're just waiting for Rex to pull the trigger as we take down another base. Again, it's the Gateway Army that's been killing bases non-stop, like doing incredible trades, taking down bases. We bust into the natural base. Nidus is going to be going down. And what's happening right now is that, again, Rex is being pulled apart. The Broodlords are out of position. We can push in. Without the Broodlords, there's no answer to the High Templar. You have the Cloak. Big Fungal. Feedback's thrown down on the Vipers, but a Powerbomb does not quite connect. Only the Fungals. The Neural on the Stalker. And we go for the dive. The Corruptors, they focus down the Mothership. They focus down the carriers, but big storms on the army. Oh my god, the storms are insane, and the Corruptors are forced back. GG gets called. Stats takes the series 2-0. GG. GG, well played. Congratulations here to Stats as he does take the series 2-0. A pretty tense game, especially early on, but Stats, he was able to successfully get into his own sky toss. He was able to survive the Lurker Viper. Sorry, the Hydra Lurker. It wasn't even Hydra Lurker Viper. It was a bit of a back and forth. I did love that Rex adapted and he rushed into Lurkers the way that he did. Rex had a lot of success there. He had a big power spike and was able to defend. But if you remember, he wasn't able to make use of the Lurkers. Like, he wasn't able to make use of them aggressively. And as soon as the Lurkers arrived, Stats was like, okay, I cannot push in. It's not going to happen. I cannot break you. What I'm going to do, second Stargate, Fleet Beacon, Sky Toss. Right? Like, Stats, he recognized the power of the army of Rex, just backed off, let him have it, and just teched up instead. And Rex, in that moment, in that period where Stats was teching, Rex, that was his moment where he had to strike, and he didn't quite strike. Instead, if you remember, he was taking up into Hive Tech, into Corruptors, into a Spire, into a Greater Spire, into Broodlords, and he was prioritizing Broodlords. By the time the Skytoss arrived, there wasn't any Corruptors, so the Skytoss was gaining ground, and we saw that Stats was able to kind of take control of the game from there, and constantly outmaneuver and outposition Rex in the late game. GG. GG, well played. Congratulations to Stats as he does advance on into the next round. And we can take this moment to have a look at the bracket ourselves and to figure out where we go from here. I do not want to be left behind. Let us quickly slip into some DMs. And make sure we're all good. Okay, we should be good. Bam. Again, exclamation mark B in the chat if you guys want to have a look at the bracket yourselves. And as we have a look at the bracket, a big shout out in the chat. Oh, that is not what I'm looking for. There we go. A big shout out in the chat as well to Shiva Blaster. Thank you so much. Big shout out to Shiva Blaster in the chat for resubscribing for 27 months, over 2 years of support. Gracias, papi, gracias. Thank you so much for all the love, for all the support. Gracias. Do appreciate it. Thank you. Quack, papi, quack. And behind this, okay, let's quickly go over the bracket. Let us quickly go over the bracket. Okay, from the top, we can see our series. Dark has been patiently waiting in the round of 16. You can see here, Dark has been waiting for the winner of our series. Stats just 2-0'd Rex, and now he's up against Dark. That is how brutal ESL Open Cup Asia is the quality of players are top tier. And matches do not get easier by any means. Stats is already up against the best Zerg player in South Korea. He's up against Dark, a terrifying opponent. So best of luck to Stats. That is going to be our next series on the channel. Let me just quickly set up the players before we go over the rest of the bracket. Okay, scrolling down a little bit further, we have Hero. He already 2-0'd Nachmitag. He already 2-0'd his opponent. He already 2-0'd Bunny. In our best of 2, in our 2 matches, Hero played 4 games. Hero, he's speed running through the bracket. Hero is already here in the quarterfinals, and Hero is waiting for the winner of Dark versus Stats. Hero, the best Protoss in South Korea. So we have the best Zerg and the best Protoss soon to be facing off against each other, or I should say that Stats has to work through both of them to make it to the semifinals. So a really brutal portion of the bracket. Best of luck to Stats. Again, we'll be there for his next series. Scrolling down a little bit further, we have Estrella versus Cyan. They just started. It's going to be a PvP, a pretty dynamic one. We've seen them go back and forth, so hard to call, but I imagine a very fun PvP here in the round 16. Just underneath them, we have Nightmare versus Byun. Nightmare just 2-0'd Rebellion. Also, Cyan 2-0'd Moku. Moku, the Chinese Zerg player. But Nightmare, he's up against Byun. Fun fact, we just got a result. Byun just 2-0'd Nightmare. So Byun is waiting in the quarterfinals as well, waiting for a Protoss. Whether it's Estrella or Cyan, still yet to be determined. So one of these 2 players will be facing off against Byun in the quarterfinals. Again, we just got the update. Scrolling down a little bit further, we have Gumiho waiting for either Dongray Gu or Fork. DRG and Fork are facing off as we speak. Gumiho waiting for the winner of that series. Likewise, underneath him, we have a PvP between Firefly and Classic. Firefly, he pops off in PvP, so Classic, I would say, is the stronger player. He's better well-rounded, but specifically in the PvP, we've seen Firefly beat Creator, we've seen him beat Nightmare, we've seen him beat Classic, and even force Max Packs to the ace match. We've even seen Firefly beat Hero, so this is a close one. This is a very close one. I know that there's a lot of notoriety and a lot of hype behind Classic for a reason. And again, I would say that Classic has better PvT and better PvZ, but specifically in PvP, I can see this going to the ace match. And yeah, hard to call. I wish them both the best of luck. Wish them both the best. Scrolling down, Oliveira, Papi, let's go. Oliveira takes down Creator 2-0, making it to the quarterfinals as well. We have quite a number of quarterfinalists already. Oliveira waiting for his next opponent, waiting for Jeshi and Cure. Jeshi has pretty terrifying Protoss versus Terran, so Cure is going to be the favorite player. I wish Jeshi the best of luck. Jeshi just 2-0'd Reaper, the American Zerg player. So Jeshi, wish him the best, going up against Cure, leading into Oliveira. Oh boy. So that is our tournament. That is our tournament so far. Hard to call. It is definitely hard to call. We have seen DRG take Gumiho down in the past. We've seen Gumiho, DRG, Firefly, and Classic all go back and forth. So yeah, difficult to predict who makes it through into the semifinals from the lower brackets. From this portion, now that Beyond 2-0'd Nightmare, Beyond is favored to make it to the semis. Much love to Astray and Cyan. It's going to be an uphill battle. It's going to be an uphill battle. Wish them the best against Beyond in the quarterfinals. Do wish them the best. Meanwhile, we're focusing on this portion of the brackets. Dark versus Stats. After that, we're going to be casting the winner against Hero. After that, we're going to be casting the winner in the upper semis against either Beyond, Estrella, or Cyan. So this is where we're going to be focusing our attention, the stream I mean. So now you kind of know the trajectory of the channel. If you want to tune in to some of these lower bracket matches, then there are some other casters out there. Hopefully there's other coverage going on. Yeah, otherwise, I do apologize. I do know that a lot of the other English casters are traveling at the moment. I think Wardy's in LA. There's something happening in LA. I'm not really too sure what, but Wardy's in Los Angeles. I think Zombie Grub's in LA as well. Who else? I think Loco and a couple of others. So a bunch of the community English casters are traveling and they're abroad doing something else. So because of that, there's not as much English coverage today as there usually is. There's not as many streams going on, which is a bit of a shame, but regardless, we're getting on into this. We're getting into game number 1 of our round of 16 match, and spawning in the top left-hand corner of Oceanborn, we have the South Korean Zerg player, the Blue Zerg, representing Talon Esports. It is Dark. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponents. We have the South Korean Protoss, the red Protoss player representing himself, currently teamless, deserving to be on a team. It is Stats. As here we go, we do have a 15-15 opener out of Dark. It is a very safe way to open up. Dark, he's been sprinkling this in a little bit more frequently as of late. The way this works is that you're able to get your hatchery on time before the probe arrives. That's what's important about it. The probe arrives, hatchery is already on location. It is not going to be denied. We aren't forced to take the unnatural natural. The spawning pool is up next, and we get delayed gases. This is the downside. The plus side of this opener is that we are able to expand where we need to. The downside is gases are late, which means later ling speed, later aggression, which is why it's a very safe opener from the Zerg player. And Stats should be feeling pretty comfortable. I mean, uncomfortable with the fact that he won't be able to be as aggressive as he would like to be, but overall, no aggression from Dark. So Stats, he's going for a gate expand. Now the question becomes, will Stats go for the same build? Now, if you were here for Game 1 and Game 2, you would know that Stats did go for, an all-in, both games against Rex. He went for a Stargate opener, This pylon looks like a Stargate pylon. So he did go for a Stargate Oracle opener into a third base, into 6 gate Blink Stalkers, without a Forge, without a Robo, with a proxy pylon. He did it both in game 1 and in game number 2. Again, just a setup for, like, very committed, pretty all in. In both games, or in game 1, he dealt a lot of damage and eventually transitioned into Storm. In game 2, early on, Stats realized that it wasn't going to kill Rex, so he had a much faster transition into a Forge, into Robo, into Storm, into a 4th base. So we see that Stats, he isn't like stubborn with this build if he does it again. He's very flexible with it, and he's willing to transition out and work towards a longer game once he recognizes that it won't work. Once he recognizes that it won't kill his opponent. So we'll see if Stats goes for it again. We'll keep an eye on him. Meanwhile, Dark is a more aggressive player. He's a little more unpredictable. Dark, especially in ZVP, is very chaotic and very aggressive. This is why that we love casting Dark versus Hero, for example, because Hero is just as chaotic and just as unpredictable as Dark, so it just leads to like really messy games. It leads to a lot of metagaming, a lot of nonsense, always a lot of fun when they face off against each other. Here, I think Dark is more comfortable against Stats, just because Stats isn't as dynamic as Hero. So Dark is most likely going to be in the driver's seat. And we'll see if Stats can react and respond to the chaos that is Dark. Let say Threat and Shade. Lings are amassing. We're making a decent amount of Lings just to shut down the Adepts and to go for a counterattack. Oracle has arrived. As we mentioned, it was a Stargate opener into Oracles. We do check the third base. Lings, they collapse on the Adept, and they do get one. One Adept does go down. Third base is being taken. Behind this, Stats getting his own third up and running. And so far, Stats hasn't dealt any economic damage yet. On top of that, did lose an Adept, which means Lings, they have map control. They have map control, they're looking for that Adept, and it looks like they will come across it. Yeah, they get us around. The Adept is going to be hunted down. At the same time, Double Oracle heads towards that natural. Queens are in position. Yeah, the Queens are here. Good stutter stepping. It looks like we lose 2 drones. But only 2 workers. The Oracles, at least they survive. They do get out of there. Good defense out of Dark. But last Stats can always come back in, and he does get a 3rd drone. Oh, he gets a 3rd. Almost a 4th. And with that, the spores are done. The aggression has subsided. We do see Dark going for a counterattack. We mentioned before he caught out those Adepts, and now he's going for the 3rd. That's a lot of Lings. We get us around. The Adepts are going to be going down. Both of them will. Oracle should be racing back home. We get one, and we're barely going to get the other. Adepts, they zone away the Lings. Again, good trade from Dark. We'll be forced back. And now we have our transition. Stats is going for something different. This time, it is a Twilight Council, but that is a Forge. This is not the same build that Stats was doing against Rex. So we are getting into new territory here. +1, a blink on the horizon for Stats. Overlord is going to be shut down. Behind this, we do have a bit of a gateway explosion. That's going to be 5 gates in total. Interesting. We'll see how many more get thrown down. They move out. Darky does get supply blocked after losing that Overlord. He's going for a plus on melee. Roach Warren is on the way at a reasonable time. There was a 5-minute Roach Warren. And with that, Darky's just getting into his own Ling Roach army. Droning up behind this as well. So nothing aggressive out of Darky yet. Nothing to really ring any alarm bells. Just responding, playing standard, being active with his Lings. He is moving out once again for a surround. Trying to catch out these units. Oh, does come in from behind. He gets us around. He will clean up the Stalkers. Big pickoffs here. As we get 1, 2 Stalkers and both Adepts. It was a bit of a costly trade losing all those Lings, but it was minerals for gas. That's why it's a better trade for Dark. Behind this is getting his 4th base. He's drone up to 66. This is the next power spike for Dark. He's drone up to 3 base saturation. The question becomes, does he drone up any further, or do we focus on maxing out on Ling Bane Roach Ravager? As Dark is double expanding, getting his 4th and his 5th base. Meanwhile, behind this, 3 more gateways on the way. So we had 5, now that we're going up to 8. Very aggressive. 8 gates on the way here for Stats. We're reinforcing. Pylon gets thrown down on the front lines. Stats trying to reinforce here. Now, he is not all in. He is taking up behind this. We have a Robo, Forge, and a Templar Archives on the way. This is aggressive, but Stats really just trying to assert himself and trying to deny this base. The goal here to deny some of these bases and to trade with the army while we refine ourselves back at home. Another big warp in. Stats, he does catch a Ling. He doesn't know. I was about to check. Stats, he hasn't seen that hatchery. It's so exposed. It's so vulnerable. It's so greedy from Dark. And Stats could deny it, but he doesn't know it's there. Doesn't know it's been taken. Because why would it? For now, he's just being as assertive as possible, trading with Lings, denying creep, keeping the creep at bay. And Dark, he hasn't been droning. I mentioned before that his power spike was droning up to 66. He droned up to 67, so 1 extra drone. And he's just hyper fixated here on Ling main Roach Ravager. He's maxing out. +2 is on the way. Baneling speed is on the way. We'll see if Dark does drone up this 4th. Oracles are coming in. And Dark, he's pulling the trigger. Does get caught by the stasis. Will shut down the pylon. He gets away with the 5th. And what are we using the 5th for? Okay, for Larva, as we do make a wave of drones. So Dark, he was respecting the army. He was assuming that Stats was going all in. And that's a good thing for Stats. Because Dark doesn't commit, because he's droning, Stats, he gets away with posturing, basically. He was posturing, he was just faking out aggression. He backs off, taking a 4th base. We have Storm, +2, Immortal Production. We have so much tech on the way. It's about to finish up. Stats just needs to survive. He just needs to survive long enough to allow Storm to finish. And all these upgrades. Meanwhile, Dark is on a bit of a timer here. Will he hit before the upgrades finish, or will he focus on droning and try to catch back up and take an economic lead? We have 18 Banelings on the way. 5th base getting up and running. Joining up to 76. He isn't moving out. Storm is about to finish in a couple of seconds. Do we have a High Templar? We do. We have 4 High Templar ready. Stats, he has his Storms. Big stasis on the Lings. You can see Dark trying to bait out that Storm as well. Another stasis does go up. And there we go. The Storms on the Roaches, on the Ravagers. And we force Dark back. Again, this was a really close defense here from Stats, but he got away with it. Oh, he's getting away with it. Banelings are going for the mineral line. Big Storms on the Banelings. And the Banelings, they will not make it. Do we have to have one more? We don't. We don't have one more Storm. The Banelings, they get in. They take down the mineral line. 15 probes go down. One more Storm is all we need of those Banelings. They were so low. Ay, ay, ay. And just like that, Dark, he cripples the economy of Stats. Stats now rebuilding, remaxing. We have Lings pushing in towards the right-hand side. There is a wall. Again, that was almost the perfect defense we were looking for. The High Templar! Oh, that was 2. 2 High Templar just got picked up. Now, Stats isn't dead. He has to recover economically, and he did retain the Immortals, is what I will say. The Immortals have been retained. More Immortals are on the way. More High Templar in production, +3 attack is also in production as well for Stats. He's still holding his own, but now he's stuck at home. Because of all those losses, he's stuck at home. He has to spend money rebuilding his economy instead of building up his army. And that means that Dark is left alone, and he's taking. He's droning, he's working on Infestation Pit, 2nd Evo Chamber, upgrades, Hive Tech, spreading creep. After that attack, because Stats is stuck at home, Dark can just focus on recovering and building himself up. So we have a little bit of a lull period here. Banelings, they get caught out. They get caught out. Another base is on the way here for Stats. Dark getting ready for a run by towards the left-hand side. Getting ready for his own push. Dark has maxed out. Hive is halfway done. Banelings is making their way towards that 4th. We do have plenty in position though. Yeah, we have Archons, we have cannons, shield batteries. This position is pretty heavily fortified. Like, we cannot break through. The right-hand side is a little bit more vulnerable, but it looks like Stats, the name of the game right now, is to fortify these bases and then Sky Toss. It looks very similar to what we saw versus Rex. I'm assuming that, but we'll see as Stats has maxed out. He's at 200 supply. We catch out some Lings. We have not thrown down a Stargate or a Fleet Beacon. Instead, what are we working with? 4 High Templar. That's an okay amount of Storms. Only 4 High Templar. A good amount of Immortals. We catch out more Lings, and we're pushing. Dark, can we hold? Likewise, he has a massive amount of Roach Ravager. Maybe they try to roll in. Good Storms! But we're running out. I think we have 2 more Storms left. 2 more Storms remaining. Stats is gaining ground. Dark getting ready for us around. He's coming in. We do have our Storms, but I believe we are running out of Storms. The final ones have been thrown down, and we collapse on the army, but GG gets called. There's too much here. Stats. He breaks through, and he does take game number 1. Whew. GG. Oh my god. GG, well played. Stats, he was able to recover, able to max out. I was worried he did not have enough High Templar. He only had 4, but he was able to trade well enough, able to break through. And Dark could not keep up. Not with Lingbane Roach Ravager. GG. This actually reminds me of Stats versus Solar. If you were here for it, Stats did take a game off of Solar last week in ESL Open Cup Americas, if I remember correctly, with the same style, where we had the same situation, where Solar was stuck on Lingbane Roach Ravager, and he came up against this death bull of an army, with Archons, with Storm, with Immortals, and Stats out-traded him and broke through. And we saw that immediately the next game, the change that Solar made was he, instead of going Lingbane Roach Ravager, he went Ling Roach into Hydras, and then into Lurkers. And upon getting into Lurkers, he forced out a different transition. He forced out Skytoss from Stats, and things went a little bit differently. But that's how we saw Solar adjust. How will Dark adjust? Here we go. The shadow flying around always makes me think it's the scout of the main base. Yo, I hate the shadow when playing. The shadow is brutal. Yo. Here we go, and spawning Stats in gaining ground. Dark. Okay. Spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Solaris, we have our South Korean Zerg player, the Blue Zerg representing Talon Esports. Down to this series, can he fight back? It is Dark. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the Red Protoss representing himself. Currently teamless, but as you can see, deserving to be on a team. Hopefully, he gets picked up. It is Stats. Here we go. Here we go, as we do have this time a hatch gas pool. This time Stats is able to delay and deny that natural base. Dark has to expand elsewhere, and the opener is going to be a little bit more uncomfortable for Dark this time. Let's go. Is going to be a little bit more uncomfortable, as Stats is going to be able to delay the expansion, or deny the expansion, force it at the third base. But the plus side here for Dark is that he can go into a more economic opener, and he can be more aggressive. Hatch gas pool, this time no delayed gases, we're going to have fast rolling speed, and on a map like Solaris with these speed zones, Dark, he can really have his way here. Whether it's with Ling aggression, Roaches, even Waddling Queens across the map, I do feel like Dark is going to be feeling a lot more at home here on Solaris. Let's go. Let us go. As for now, we're just getting into our openers themselves. And what I love about that last game is that Stats, he did show off a different build. Remember, he went for the same kind of 3-base all-in against Rex, Game 1 and Game 2. What I love about Game 1 against Dark is that it looked the same. If you remember, he had the proxy pylon, he was being assertive with Stalkers, but he backed off, right? He was basically faking out an all-in while he was getting away with all this tech in the back line, getting away with Immortal production and Storm and Archons and upgrades. So I love the fake out in the beginning of Game 1. So we'll see what else Stats has up his sleeve. For now, Stargate opener. Stargate into Oracles. into a third base. The opener itself is looking standard, and we've seen the same opener every game so far from Stats against Dark and Rex. It's the follow-up that we're really looking and paying close attention to, with whether or not we get the Forge, how committed we are, how many gateways we go up to. That's what we are going to be looking at. Meanwhile, Dark is going to be droning, getting his third. Ling's speed is on the way, again far faster than game 1 because of the faster gas geyser. So Dark can be more aggressive and more assertive. Ling does slip into the main. We get a scout of the tech. Dark is aware of the Oracle opener. He is aware. He does know. Back at home, Dark already amassing his Lings in time for Ling's speed. And the goal here is to shut down these Adepts. 2 Adepts are moving out across the map. This can be a risky maneuver here by Stats. He has to preserve them. He has to keep them alive. Has to be very careful with them as they do threaten his shade, and we should not be committing. There we go. We do go for the cancel, and Stats backs off. He's racing back home, getting in position to expand and take the third. Meanwhile, the Lings are looking for the Adepts, and they do catch one of them. But we do shade away just in time. At the same time, we do have the Oracle across the map. We get 2 drones. 2 workers go down. Base has been thrown down as well. Dark, he collapses on the Adepts, and he will get both of them. Both Adepts will fall. Oracle just now comes out. Not in time to save the Adepts, but in time to save the base. As the Lings have to retreat. Behind this, oh, that is an early Roach Warren. Uh-oh. So, for those that are curious, when it comes to timings, this was a 4-minute 10, just over 4-minute Roach Warren timing against a Stargate opener. Unnecessary. You do not need a Roach Warren until around 5 minutes, because what are you defending against? There's no Glaive Adepts, there's no Charge Lots, there's no Stalkers, there's nothing ground base. These Roaches, if I was casting a different player, I would say maybe it's a safe response, but this is an aggressive one, 100%. We're cutting workers at 41, Creep is spreading, we catch an Oracle, and the Queens are walking. We're going for an all-in. The Queens are waddling across the map. Creep is being spread. The speed zones will help with this. And this is what we spoke about at the start of the game. With these speed zones on Solaris, Dark is so much more at home. We're going for the all-in. Queens are walking across the map. Roaches are amassing. Lings are flooding. And Stats isn't ready for this. 0 shield batteries. There we go. 1 shield battery now on the way. But Stats doesn't see this. He needs to scout the army. He spots some Lings, but that's not enough of a tell. Stats is working on a Forge, working on gateways. Stats, he has 4 Stalkers to defend and 2 Oracles. Ay. Trying to get a read on this. The Queens are now going to be spotted. Now we know what's going on. And again, 1 shield battery is not enough. Another pylon being thrown down. We catch the Stalkers. There is no blink. 1 Stalker falls. And there we go. We have shield batteries. We have cannons being thrown down at the natural. Stats is giving up on the third. Gives up on the third base. He evacuates. He knows he cannot hold. He cannot defend. He has to try to take his chances at the natural instead. Lings, they hit the third. Ravagers pushing forward. Going to try and pile down the shield batteries or even break through. There we go. Shield batteries going to be cancelled. Ooh, barely do survive. There we go. We cancel the cannon. Ravagers are pushing forward. Pylon is going to be targeted down. Oh, sorry, the Cybercore even. And with the death of that Cybercore, that means no more Stalkers. Blink is not going to be as impactful. I mean, we have some Stalkers to work with. Cybercore is being rebuilt. Gateways are depowered. The third base goes down. And Dark is trying to break through. Behind this, Lair is on the way. And I believe the Queens did walk back home. The Queens are back home. Lair is on the way. Dark, he's working on his next step, but he floods in. The wall is not a wall. Ooh. The pylon barely survives. Stats? He's kind of holding. Also, I assume the Queens went back home. They stuck around a little bit longer, but now they're backing off. Now the Queens are retreating, and we are droning. So, Dark, he's no longer going to try and break this. Stats, he has held on to that natural. And Dark, he's content with killing the third base and then droning. He's droning, he's resaturating. Bearing in mind, Dark is down in the economy, by the way. I'm concerned that Dark didn't do enough. I'm very concerned that Dark didn't do enough damage. He wants more. He wants to catch the Stalkers. Comes in for the surround. Catches the sentries at least. Gets a sentry. Almost a zealot. Almost a zealot. And behind this, Dark is going to try to recover. Stats still on a higher worker count. Again, a big shout to Stats for pulling away and evacuating that third base. Thankfully, he preserved all of his probes, so his worker count is still very healthy, but he needs that third base. It's now on the way. Dark, amassing overlords. Massing overlords to get rid of the supply block. We do have the Hydrogen on the way here for Dark. So we're going into Ling Hydra. I like this choice. Ling Hydra can do quite well against a mass Stalker-based army, and it gives you access to Lurkers as well, which is what we were lacking in Game 1. Ling's going to be backing off. Stalker's being kept busy. Third base, still not quite done. Still on the way. And we're working towards what looks to be Storm and Archons. We have the Temple Archives. We have Charge soon to be on the way, I imagine. Hydras are amassing. Now the question becomes, is Dark going to saturate his fourth? Dark, he's on 64 workers. He's about to be on 69. Nice. Now 70. So he is droning. He's working on the next step. Do we have an infestation pit? We do not. No infestation pit. So still focusing on just Hydras. On Roach Hydra. Stats being as active as possible. Trying to get a read of what's going on. He has scouted the fourth. Is aware. But again, there's limited saturation here for Dark. Still focusing on Hydras. This is really risky out of stats, but he has to be active with these Stalkers. He has to try to gain some value with them. Storm is going to finish, though. And stats. He's taking a fourth. A big moment here. Can he hold on to it? Can he get into a better economy? Tumor's going to be shut down. Dark knocking down these rocks. He drone up to 73. That's full base saturation. And yeah, we're shutting down these rocks. Dark, he's getting ready to push. Getting ready to move out. And what kind of defensive position do we have? We have one shield battery at the third. We have a couple of stasis traps. Not bad. Storm is done. How many High Templar? We have 4 High Templar. That'll be 1 Storm each at least. And here he comes. Dark, he's maxed out. With Ling, Roach, Ravager, Hydra. We dive in forward stasis traps. They go off on a couple of Lings. Decent Storm. Good Storms here. They zone back the Hydras. No big connections yet, but we are buying time. And Stats, he needs that time right now. Another Storm spent. Only zoning barely graces the army. And we only have 1 Storm left. Soon to be 2. Again, the Storm is a resource. And we can't be too wasteful with it. Oh my god, the High Templar. Oh my god. High Templar, they bait out a movement. They bait out some Hydras. They do go down. A couple of Stalkers full as well. At the same time, we do see Dark coming in from the right-hand side, catching the 4th base. Yeah, good Storm here towards the left. It looks like Stats, he holds onto his 3rd, but the 4th base is soon to be broken. We have the overcharge, though. Keeping those Stalkers alive. Stats, he's barely trying to force this back. He does defend towards the left. And here on the right-hand side with the warp in, we can hold. He recalls the base. We're going to barely hold on to it. The recall does finish in time. And Dark, he bled out a lot of units here. Looking at the battle report, Dark, he bled out 20 Hydras and 17 Roaches. And what did he really get? He got an Archon. He got 2 High Templar and 9 probes. That was not a good trade for Dark. Stats, he did well holding and defending. But Dark is remaxing. He's coming in once again, this time focusing on the 4th base. He's going for the Nexus, and the Nexus will fall. Nexus gets picked off. We start a step forward. We get on top of the Immortal. Where are the Storms? We don't have any. We need more time. We need Storms, and without them, the Hydras are breaking through. They are breaking through. We have Roaches coming from behind. We focus on one of the High Templar, and we get a surround. It looks like it's just too much. Dark, he overwhelms. GG gets called, and Dark ties up the series 1-1. GG. GG. A very close initial defense from Stats. But as we saw, once you run out of Storm, we saw that the Ling Hydra was able to break through, come in from behind, and surround the army. Stats just needed a couple more seconds to build up energy on those High Templar. If he had that available, then maybe he's able to barely hold on again, but it was a difficult position after losing the third. A very difficult position. With that, we're going to the ace match. Clearly, the maps have been important, and the next map is going to be on hard lead. Ooh, a very small map. Now, talking about Solaris and talking about the speed zones, there's a reason why Dark did go for the all-in there, did go for the Queen Walk, because the speed zones do allow for that to hit harder and faster. That is true. On the flip side, hard lead is also pretty good for Queen Walks, not because of speed zones, but because how small the map is. Because of the short rush distance by ground, Queen Roach aggression can be quite difficult to defend on this map. So we'll see if Dark relies on that again, or if he goes to something different. We shall see as we're loading in to hard lead. And spawning in the bottom right hand corner of hard lead, we have our South Korean Zerg player, the blue Zerg representing Talon Esports, forcing the ace match. It is Dark. And spawning in the top left hand corner, we have his opponent, we have the red Protoss. Currently teamless, but forcing Dark to the ace match, pretty damn impressive so far. Can he go the distance? Can he bring him down? That would be crazy. That'd be wild. I'm here for it. It is Stats. Here we go. As this time, Dark does go for a hatch first. He's just going to go hatch gas pull. Nothing too crazy here out of Dark. This time, he is not going to be disrupted. He's not going to be intercepted by this probe. And we'll be able to once again get into faster ling speed. This should be a hatch into gas into spawning pool opener. Meanwhile, I imagine Stats is going to once again go into a Stargate, into a third. Stats hasn't really deviated too much, and we haven't seen many, if any, Twilight Council openers out of Stats. Not saying he can't, but we just haven't seen it yet today, at least. We'll see if he does decide to whip it out. Again, I'm not opposed to Twilight Council openers. I'm not opposed to them on this map. They can work quite well. They have their place, whether it's into Glaive Adepts or into Dark Templar. It is all viable here. But we'll see where the pylon does get placed. It's typically, or traditionally placed here at the edge of the map for Stats, at the edge of the main base. We'll keep an eye out for it. Tato. Shaking my head. There it is. Pylon has been thrown down. Looks like another Stargate opener here by Stats. Meanwhile, Dark back at home, just going to be droning on up. Has a couple of safety lings. Ling speed is on the way. We pull out a gas immediately just to rush into it. Nothing crazy yet. We're just still easing our way into our openers. In towards the mid game. Now, Dark has been one to Ling Flood in the past, especially go mass Ling Bane into Hive Tech, into Ultras, but those are typically reserved for larger maps. Maps like Alcyone, maps like Radisson Station, if we ever get there. Radisson Station is a little bit different, but maps like Alcyone, maps like Equilibrium, that is where Dark is willing to play that style. I don't really see that happening here on hard lead. I know with how small and congested it is. The gateway is thrown down. We're getting to our third base, and now the aggression is about to be upon us here. Stats once again moving out with his two adepts. Has to be careful. These past two games he has been losing them, which is a little bit scary. So hopefully this time Stats is able to babysit them a little bit harder. Lings are amassing to deal with set adepts, and they are shading in. And we don't commit. Thankfully. Lings, they were ready to pounce. Speaking of, Dark gonna try to hunt them down. Is moving out. Likewise, Oracle gets into the main base, gets one drone kill, gets a second, does get away. Not a bad start for Stats, keeping the Oracle alive, getting a couple of worker kills. Meanwhile, the Lings are going straight for the third base. They want the Adepts. They want them, and can we get them? We come in from both angles. A little bit delayed there with the surround, but it looks like we should have enough to deal with them. Good stutter stepping though. Up, we hold. A clean defense by Stats. A bit of a blundered attack, and that was not worth for Dark. He bleeds out how many lings? 8. 8 lings for nothing. And now we build up to 4 depths. This is probably the best start that Stats has had all series. The best start here to game 3 as we move out for a counterattack with 4 depths with the Oracles. And we're looking for drone kills. Do you try to head in? Good target firing out of Dark. Oracles threaten a backstab. Very fast lair by the... Oh my god. Sorry, my apologies. This was what, like a 4:20 lair timing? Nice. Very fast lair here from Dark. With a fast lair, we could go in a couple of different directions. Adepts, they do push in for a moment. Behind this, we do have a Twilight Council. There is no Forge, by the way. We're going up to 5 gateways. Blink is on the horizon. This does look like another 3-base Blink Stalker all in from Stats. This is what we saw against Rex, but with the fast lair, it's a Nidus all in. And I think the Nidus hits first. It's going to be a Ling Queen Nidus all in from Dark. We're going to be sending everything across the map. Now, thankfully, because of the high gateway count, because of the 5-gate setup here, Stats, he will have some warpins available. But they will be vanilla Stalkers. Okay, now we go for the Forge. Forge is on the way. We have vision of the main base and Stats. Do we spot the Nidus? Will we spot it? There it is. It's on the way. Stats. He is within range. The gateway sees, but does Stats see? I don't think he does. Uh oh, I don't think he does. He's moving out. He's moving out with his main army. There we go. He recalls back home. The boys are being pulled, but the Nidus does complete. Yeah, Queens, they pop out. Do we have a transfuse? We do. We barely transfuse that Nidus. We keep it alive a little bit longer, but it has been focused down. And Stats, he's holding. Stats, he's cleaning this up. Queens are falling lings as well. The Nidus is denied, and Dark is losing everything. Ooh, and now he's droning. And now Dark is in danger. The scary thing right now is that Stats, he has the gateways. He can reinforce and push out and try to punish that 3rd base. And Dark, can he defend? There we go. We have cannons and shield batteries just to defend. Stats should be pushing back at home. Dark re-droning as hard as possible. Templar Archives, Templar Archives. Infestation is on the way. We still have more lings. Okay, so as Stats is moving out, Dark wants to counterattack. Wants to try to push in. But he runs into the army. Yeah, was hoping that Stats was already moved out. At the same time, Baneling Run-By is being set up. Now, Stats is in a better position. Stats, he is in a lead. But if this Baneling Run-By gets in, you know, if Dark is able to eviscerate an economy, eviscerate a mineral line, then Stats will be in some trouble. Dark is thinking about it. He's going for it. Center base is being taken. Dark moving out with his lings. Banelings are waddling in. And Dark hoping to distract the army with the lings. Does keep the attention towards the left-hand side. Banelings are waddling in. And Stats, he does react. Whew. He does pull back in time. Stalkers, they come in. They shut down the Banelings. At the same time, Lings, they collapse on the forward base. But a big stage strap goes off. We catch the Lings. We defend the 4th. Stats is still in control of this game. He is still in control. We have Lings being peeled off here towards that mineral line. But again, there's a shield battery. There's Stalkers. Lings are going down left and right. And Dark, he's rushing into that hive. Hive is in production as we speak. It's about to finish. But what can we do with this? We can head towards Adrenal. We are still focusing on Ling production. We can maybe head towards Ultras. Again, we haven't taken additional gases. We're still only on 4. Still only on 4 gases. There's Adrenal. Yep, it is going to be Ultras. So Ling Bane into Ultra. I mean, this is all we can afford. Like, we can't afford Roaches. We can't afford Hydras. We're just building up towards eventually Ultra Tech. It's a risky maneuver. I mentioned before that Dark is fond of this on larger maps, but this wasn't his initial plan. This is a transition. This is what he's forced into instead. And the problem with this is that we are vulnerable until we get into the Ultras, and we don't have as much momentum as we need. Like, the reason why this can work is that when you go mass Ling like this, you deny the 4th. You deny the 4th, you deny the 5th. You delay the economy, and you slow down the Protoss. but Stats hasn't really been slowed down. Overseer attempted a Nidus into the main. Changeling gets shut down. Ultras are on the horizon. Stats securing his economy. Getting into double robot production. Oh my god. Stats, have we scouted? We haven't seen the tech. We haven't seen the Ultra Cavern or the Hive. But we do have double robo immortals on the way. Even though Stats doesn't know what's happening, he's still reading this so well. I mean, he sees the mass Ling. Whether it's lurkers, whether it's ultras, immortals can do well for themselves. And that's exactly what we need right now. Immortals are on the way. And the other good answer would be Skytoss, but Skytoss will take too long. I feel like if we tried to go into Skytoss now, the ultras would hit first. The ultras would hit first instead. Here we go. Dark just shutting down all these rooks, getting into his ultras. How many ultras do we have? We have 4 ultras, soon to be 5. Kindness plating, I believe, is done. We only have 1. We're working on 2 upgrades for the ultras. Lings, they try to hit the center base. Big stasis trap to go off once again. Main army rotating over. The ultras have been revealed. For the first time, Stats, he does get eyes on the ultras. Just some Ling Bang being set up towards the right-hand side as well. Stats in position. Like, so far, the defenses of Stats are looking good. Rocks are being knocked down. Stasis runs out. Ooh, a lot of Lings go down. Bailings, they roll into Archons, and yeah, they cannot push forward. Dark, he's setting the defenses at every base. Looks like finally he finds a weak point. Bailings, they need those worker kills. They're going for the mineral line. They try to bust through those stalkers. And it looks like we will break through. Bailings are getting in. Big connections. 24 probes go down. Again, Stats a little bit late to reinforce, a little bit late to rotate over. 24 probes fall, and it looks like we have done it. We've broken through. We're getting on top of another base. Knight Templar. One Knight Templar goes down. We get a couple of feedbacks. Ultra's being forced back. But again, Dark, he's instantly remaxing and is going to keep the pressure up. Dark has no intention of slowing down. Stats! Late reaction. Bailings, once again, they get in. 5 more probes. Whew. Could have been so much worse. Could have been worse as Lings, they unburrow. Bailings unburrow as well. And we are pulling Stats apart. From the left, from the right. We get on top of the base. We get on top of the Nexus. And yeah, this 5th is not going to get up and running. Oh, it's so close to going down. It's so close, man. But Stats, he loses another 15 workers. And you can see Dark instantly remaxing and rebuilding. Is moving out. Again, Stats, he was so close. You could see how quickly things escalate, where if Stats were able to defend this 4th base, like, he would be in a much better position. He'd be able to maintain himself. Would have finished up the gateways and cannons on the left-hand side. Sorry, the shield batteries and cannons. As the Nexus has fallen. Again, one small chink in the armor is sometimes all it takes. One exposed point. As yeah, now we hit the center base. We catch an Archon. We got a couple of Archons. The Ultra, they come in from behind. We go first around. Storms are thrown down on Ultras of all things. The Ultras will be cleaned up. But that was a kill on that Nexus. We're down to 3 bases. GG gets called. It's just too much. And Dark will take the series 2-1. GG. Let's go. GG, well played. Dark, his initial Ling Queen Nidus all-in failed, but it did not matter as Dark was still able to, he was able to recover from that point. Stats had a little momentum on his side after the initial defense, but Stats never moved out. After the initial defense, if you remember, Stats, he was just turtling up back at home, building up his 4th, building and working on a 5th base as well, turtling up and trying to max out, which is definitely an approach you can take. The problem there is that because of his passivity, Dark was able to get away with his Hive Tech, drone up to 80, get his own 5-base setup, and tech up into ultras. And Stats was almost able to defend. He was almost able to weather the storm, but we saw that one lapse in judgment, one hole in the armor here, one hole in the defense was enough for Dark to start the ball rolling. Bailing run by in, kill the mineral line, we push in towards the left, towards right. Suddenly Statsy gets pulled apart. He's just trying to respond, trying to deal with all these fires that are just being lit in all of his bases, and in the end, everything set fire, everything burned down. GG. GG, well played. Congratulations to Dark, but a big shout out to Stats. A shout out to Stats because it is not easy going up against Dark, and hey, he almost took the series. He went to the ace match. He definitely was not looking bad at all. So again, Stats, he has been improving, and I'm really happy to see that the rate of improvement for Stats is continuing. You know, he isn't stagnating. He isn't you know, falling further behind or anything like that. He's catching up. He's catching up with a lot of these players, and I'm happy to see that. Big Stats fan. Big Stats. Do appreciate it. GG. GG. As Dark will advance on into the next round to face off against the best Protoss in all of South Korea. Again, the opponents do not get easier for Dark. Up next, Dark versus Hero. Let's go. GG, well played. I forgot traveling from Europe to Australia take months. It does. It does. But Veto's underway. Veto's are currently underway. Dark versus Hero is upon us as we enter our quarterfinals match to determine who advances on to the semis. Meanwhile, exclamation mark B in the chat. Let's quickly hop on over and have a look at the brackets. Here we go. We do have some updates, and I should also announce the score as well. Okay, so Darky takes on Stats 2-1, advances on to face off against Hero in the quarterfinals. Meanwhile, scrolling down, we have Estrella taking down Cyan. I spoke about it. I spoke about how I could definitely see Estrella versus Cyan going either way. It went to the ace match. So, again, went the distance there, went all the way to the ace match, and now Estrella, he's up against Bjorn in a best of 3. It is going to be a difficult series there for Estrella, but best of luck. Best of luck to Estrella against Bjorn, as winner that goes on to the semifinals to face off against the winner of our series. So basically, we're going to be focusing on the upper quarterfinals, then we're going to be following the winner of this series into the semis, then into the grand finals. Just as a heads up. Meanwhile, DRG, Dong Regu takes down Gumiho 2-0. Very nice performance there by DRG. He has been looking strong and dominant over Gumiho in recent times, and has done it again. Also takes him down 2-0. Goes up against Classic. Classic did take down Firefly 2-0. Very big win there for Classic. Firefly has been popping off in PvP, but this week it is not his week. He falls to Classic. No shame there. Classic is arguably the second best Protoss in Korea. Second best only to Hero. So no shame in that. As Classic takes the win, Classic goes on an even further tear. Takes down DRG 2-0 as well. And Classic is already in the semis. Speed running his way through. That was a quick series. As we're still in the midst of our quarterfinal matches, Classic is the first player to make it to the semifinals. He's already there waiting for his next opponent. We do have Oliveira taking down Creator 2-0. Big win there. Oh, we already went over that. Oliveira, he's waiting in the quarterfinals. And Cure takes down Jeshi. Now, we spoke about how Jeshi has really terrifying or really good PvT. And so I was wishing them both the best. And it did go to the ace match there as well. So big win there for Jeshi to force Cure to the ace match. Cure is not an easy opponent. He is a bit of a TVP specialist, so for Jeshi to force him to the ace match is a big win. We've seen Jeshi bring down big Terrans in the past, but Cure survives. And now we have a TVT, Oliveira versus Cure. We will have one Terran confirmed for the semifinals, at least one, potentially two, as again, Bjorn is still in the tournament as well. So that is going to be a spicy Terran versus Terran matchup. Wish them the best. As Classic is waiting for a Terran in the semis. Which Terran? Yet to be determined. Meanwhile, the semifinals are... Sorry, the vetoes are done. And the quarterfinals are going to be getting underway. We have our maps set up here. We have Alkione as game 1. We have Hardled as game number 2. And game number 3 is going to be on... I need my Google Translate. Translate. Oh, they don't know. They'll figure it out. We vetoed Radisson Station. We vetoed Golden Aura. We vetoed Hecate. So far makes sense. Game 3 is going to be on Oceanborn. Okay. There we go. So Alkione into Hardled into Oceanborn. Hero can take him on. He can. Like, it's difficult to predict these two players facing off. Speaking of predictions will be set up for the semifinals. Usually we reserve predictions for the semis, but it looks like we have a little bit of time. Can I set them up here? Hold on. Hold on. One moment. Give me the prediction. There we go. Semifinals. Quarterfinals. Bam. Hero versus Dark. Beautiful. Fun fact, Hero and Dark, they face off very often in ESL Open Cup Asia, and they usually face off in the round of 16 or the quarterfinals or the semifinals. And for the past month, we've been... I think over a month, we've been missing them. I always say, like, oh, it looks like Dark and Hero, they're going to face off later on in the tournament. I hope we get to catch him. And we're always stuck in it, like, in another portion of the bracket. We're always being, you know, we're always focusing elsewhere, you know, hoping to catch them, but never quite able to. So we've been missing out on Dark versus Hero these past couple of weeks. Like, they've been playing, but we haven't been able to cast them recently. So I'm happy to be here. Happy to cast them this time, this week in ESL Open Cup Asia 217. Finally. Again, we would usually cast them on a weekly basis. Every week we'd cast Hero versus Dark, but for the past month, we just haven't been able to. I missed them, Papi. I missed them. So good to be back. And there's a very long history of back and forth between them. I think historically, or I should say, the most recent year of StarCraft, Hero has been more dominant. Hero has been more dominant over Dark. But when I say that, it's like 60% in favor of Hero, something like that. Something along those lines. As we just got an update, we have our second semifinalist ready here. A big result coming in. Björn did take down Estrella 2-0. Estrella, he was knocked out 2-0, and Björn advances on to the semifinals. Björn is going to be waiting for the winner of this series. So now we know where we're headed. It's going to be Dark versus Hero into Björn. That is where our stream is going to be focusing on. But a shout out to Estrella. You know, it was really good of Estrella to make it as far as he did. He was able to bring down Cyan in the ace match. Did fall to Björn, unfortunately, but again, there's no shame in falling to Björn. He is one of the best Terrans in the world. He's a terrifying opponent, not an easy one whatsoever. So I hope Estrella enjoyed his tournament run, and I hope that he was able to learn from that series as well. That's the most we can always hope for. GG, Papi. GG. GG. As it looks like our players did ask for a moment. They asked for a small break. Before we dive in. Before we do dive in. As a reminder as well, once we do wrap up ESL Open Cup Asia, we are going to be live in a couple of hours with ESL Open Cup Europe. What Up Bye is also going to be here on the channel. Back to back, Papi, back to back. It's going to be a long day of StarCraft, as Mondays usually are. As they usually are. Looks like our players are now ready. Again, they did need a small break, but they have returned. You can hear the beeps. We're loading into our next game, into game number 1, into our first quarterfinals series here, our first quarterfinals match. Dark versus Hero. Let's go. And if you're in the chat, predictions are open. Oh, let's go. Predictions are open. Place your bets on who you think will take the series and who you think faces off against Beyond. Will it be Hero or Dark? Up to you to decide. And spawning in the top right hand corner of Alkione, we have our blue Zerg player representing Talent Esports, the best Zerg player in all of South Korea. It is Dark. And spawning in the bottom left hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the best Protoss player in all of South Korea, arguably the best Protoss in the world. The red Protoss player representing CranKy Gaming. It is Hero. Let's go. And we briefly did bring up Hero in the previous series in Stats vs. Dark, how Hero is much more aggressive and unpredictable. He's a very, very fluid and dynamic player in this matchup. And Dark versus Hero usually leads to shenanigans. Speaking of, Probe is moving out. We do go for our gate set up here on the low ground for a gate expand, I imagine. Oh, Hero, he's so quick to check the gold base. He does confirm, does get eyes on the hatchery. And do we throw down the forge? No, that's going to be a second gateway setup here from Hero. Okay, so already, this is what I talk about. This is what I mean. Hero versus Dark is always nonsense. It's always crazy. Dark, he goes for the gold base. Initially, it's going to be a hatch first. Hatch gas pool, takes the gold. Hero immediately checks because he knows that Dark loves taking the gold on this map. He confirms going for a 2-gate opener. Cybercore is thrown down as well. Now with a 2-gate opener, the Nexus is delayed in favor of initially Zealots and either Adept or Stalkers as a follow-up. You can go either or. Adepts, I imagine, will be prioritized as they can get across the map faster. They can trade well against Lings and drones. Second pylon has been thrown down, and we should be amassing our units soon once the Cybercore is finished. Now, the Overlord Scout of Dark will confirm this. We're going to be dipping on forward, and we do get eyes on the Cybercore on both gateways. They're already done. So Dark, he knows that Adepts are on the way. He knows that Adepts are coming, and Dark has to prepare. But now he's going to be main knighting over, saturating his gold. Saturating that gold base. Adepts are being chronoed as we speak. And it's going to come down to the control and micro of Hero. Can he avoid being surrounded? Can he stutter step forward, focus fire, and take control of the gold base? We'll see. We shall see. As Adepts, they shade out, they take control of the Zanaga, they head towards the gold base. Rocks are still not dealt with. And these Lings are going to be targeted. One Ling goes down. We shade actually towards the main. And what is in the main base? There's one Queen. No Lings at all. Oh, we're in a bit of trouble. Lings, they're racing back home. They're amassing as we speak. Boys are being pulled. And they're being pulled away. No mining whatsoever in the main. Or delayed mining in the main base. We focus on another drone. We get 3. We get 4. 4 drones already. We trade against the Lings. And we're not done. We still have more Adepts on the way. These Adepts, they do shade out. There it is. We have 2 Adepts back at home. 2 more in production. 6 in total. 6 Adepts, followed by Twilight Council, followed by, I imagine, Glaive Adepts. Glaives will make a lot of sense in this position. Once again, good stutter stepping out of Hero. Ling speed kicks in. Ling speed is now done. We can see Dark amassing Lings with that economy. Hero does shade back home. Does get here in time. Fully walls up, or walls off with the Adepts. And there it is. Glaive Adepts on the horizon here for Hero. And Dark, can we keep up with this? We need either a Bailey Nest or a Roach Warren. We need something. As Adepts are moving out once again. Hero, he does spot the shade being cancelled. Sorry, Dark spots the shade being cancelled. Roach Warren is now on the way for Dark. Now in production. Dark Shrine, oh my god. Followed by DTs. And I am concerned here. I mean, Dark, he's fully aware of the Adepts and he's trying to get ready for them. You know, there's that at least. But the Dark Templar are unscouted. There's little reason to actually throw down spores. But there it is. We have one safety spore on the way. Thankfully, Dark, it is in the back of his mind. There's one spore here at the gold. The natural and main base are a little bit more exposed. Hopefully, we can get a spore there as well. So how many Adepts do we have? 10. 10 Adepts. Again, we cannot engage here at the Zelnaga because of how narrow these choke points are. These are 1-unit choke points. So Dark, he cannot touch this area. Ooh, as Dark did get supply block for a moment. 5 Overlords on the way. Adepts threatening those shades. Meanwhile, Dark, he has stabilized somewhat on a decent drone count. Roaches are amassing. Things threatening us around. Adepts, they do shade in towards that natural and we get us around. Dark, he's going to commit. Likewise, so is Hero. We collapse on the army. Good positioning here by Hero. Up against the wall. Does avoid that surface area and he will shade into the main. Drones are being targeted down. He gets 5. He gets 6 in the blink of an eye. 6 drones go down. Now 7. As we shade towards that natural, we do cancel. Yeah, force a recall instead. Forced to recall back home. There is a spore in the main base. There is a spore at the natural and a spore at the gold. We have detection everywhere we need them. 0 Dark Templar from Hero. Now, what's important here is that with all these depths, it isn't just about killing workers. He could try to go for the spore. If he kills the spore crawler at any of these bases, DTs are suddenly more viable. They will be more viable. As the roach count is getting insanely high. We have 14 roaches against 14 adepts. Dark is soon going to counterattack. Like, he's amassing quite a large army. And Hero has done some economic damage, but hasn't done game-ending damage. As he's shading across the map, Lynx is trying to keep up. Roaches are on the way. We can get a queen. Yeah, Lings, they will engage. We commit to the shade. Spore in the main base can go down. No, we don't go for it. Oh, yeah, we do pull back. Oh, God. We commit to the shade. Not a lot of Lings. We're going to be able to barely get away. Heading out towards the right-hand side. Shading towards the gold. And once again, Lings are getting picked apart. And behind this, Dark is droning. Dark, he's now droning up. Hero, by the way, he has a third. His third base is up and running. He's getting fully saturated, and we're transitioning away from Adepts. We never made use of the DTs, unfortunately, but, I mean, that's fine. You know, Hero, he's able to transition into a robot, into a mortal production. +1, a big gateway explosion is on the way. Hero is getting into a longer game, and Hero has the better economy than Dark. Like, Hero has been able to stabilize himself. Dark is still catching up, as the lair isn't even done. Lair isn't even halfway done. He has roaches, yes, but if we can get enough immortals out, we can hold. So far, we have 2. Is that enough, though? Is that enough immortals? I mean, I say that. Dark isn't pushing. I mean, I think he won't just because it doesn't have a lair. It doesn't have roach speed. Without it, it would be risky. As Hero is going to push in. Takes down a roach. Reinforcing with his stalkers, with immortals, with even sentries. And we don't have any ravagers. We have 1 on the way. Without ravagers, force fields are going to be king. Dark, he gets supply blocked. 5 overlords in production. We take down a tumor. We go. Force fields are thrown down. So far, again, only 1 Ravager. The Stalkers, they're breaking through. We snowball out of control. With the Immortals, the Roaches just cannot hold a candle to it. And Hero, he will take game number 1. GG. Again, Hero, he started off with the Glaive Adepts, and Dark was a little bit too tunnel vision there. He was hyper-fixated on defending against them, and he was bleeding out drones, and he was delaying his tech. He didn't get his lair. He didn't get any other saturation going either. Dark, he just fell behind, as it looked like initially he wanted to go for an all-in after defending, but I guess because he never surrounded the Adepts, he was never able to shut them down and never gained map control. GG. With that, Hero, he got out of control, he got out of hands, and he did take game number 1. Ooh, GG. Dark, he was left in the dust, left behind. Despite the goal base, despite the what should have been a boosted economy, again, never able to really make use of it. And with that, we're getting into game number 2. So very nice play there out of Hero. And Dark is up against the wall. One more loss, and Dark is out of the tournament. I'm hoping for an ace match, but we'll see. As we're loading into Hard Lead, a map where we're not tempted to rush into the gold. Thankfully, we're getting into game number 2, and spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have the red Zerg player representing Talon Esports. It is Dark. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Protoss, the blue Protoss player representing CranKy Gaming. It is Hero. And Hero, he only needs one more Automas, papi, Automas, to make it into the semifinals. Going for another gate expand setup. Meanwhile, Dark going for his hatch gas pool. Standard opener so far. Standard openers between our players. And we'll see kind of what direction we go in. Again, Dark can finally get into a standard game. He can finally get into the mid game, I'm hoping at least. Again, there is no goal to rush into. He wouldn't have to worry about early game aggression. Hatch gas pool. Hero should be going for his Nexus. Again, as a reminder, the only reason why Hero went for his 2-gate opener in the last game was a response to Dark's greed, to Dark's gold. So that's why here we should be calming things down and easing into game 2. Now, Hard Lead is quite a small map, so aggression is favored here. We saw how aggressive and how all-in Dark was against stats. It didn't work initially. Winding it back, if you remember, on Hard Lead, Dark did go for a Ling Queen Nidus all-in that failed, but then followed it up with Ling Bane into Ultras. Did get away with it. I'm sure we'll see a very different game this time against Hero. Island is going to be thrown down a little bit further, a little bit closer to the mineral line. This is technically more efficient. It's there's a bit of a give and take here. As the pylon is thrown down closer here, this does mean that you reduce the time it takes for the probe to actually get back to mining, so it is more economic, but it also means that this Oracle takes longer to get across the map. So a bit of a give and take. Now, Dark, he is notorious for his Queen control and his Oracle defense, so it makes sense here for Hero to be more efficient economically and less aggressive with that initial Oracle. As the third base is on the way. Hero just chilling back at home, getting into his Stalker to hunt down that Overlord to force it back. And what's interesting here is that Hero has opted not to go for the second Adept. Basically, it's very common to open up double Adept to go across the map, to be aggressive, to harass, and to pick off drones, or to try to pick off drones. That is something that Hero is going to be delaying. Again, not really too concerned with killing workers. Gonna force back that Overlord. Oracle soon to be on the way. It's about to pop out. It's about to pop out, and we're just hyper-fixated on shutting this Overlord down. Supply blocking Dark and keeping him in the dark when it comes to the follow-up. Hero just going straight for his 3-base setup. So, yeah, just a really passive start here. I spoke about how because of the placement of the Stargate, it meant that it's going to take longer to get across the map with the Oracle, and we don't even go across the map. We're just chilling back at home. We get a secure 3-base setup. The Adepts have been chilling. Hero hasn't really scouted much, which is scary, by the way. Like, against Dark who rushes into fast Roach Warrens or fast Lairs. Like, Hero's playing quite economic and quite greedy. And there it is. That's a fast layer. This is why we need to scout. Okay, so Based on the layer timing, this looks like a Ling Queen Nidus all in once again. There could be other things, could be like drop Lord play, but there's no Overlord speed. Oracles, they get in between the bases, and we need to scout that natural. We do! Big scout here for Hero. He does get eyes on the lair. Oracles, they get 4 drones, they split up, and they do survive. They do manage to slip away. Behind this, Dark is droning. Now the question becomes, does Dark commit? He's getting up to 3 gases. That is usually enough for a Nidus. But he also knows he just got scouted. And a very fast lair leads to only a couple of things. And I'm sure a Nidus is in the back of Hero's mind. Lings are amassing, Queens are amassing as well. It looks like Dark is still going to commit. It looks like we're still going for it. And has Hero recognized what's going on? Can he piece it together? Going for a depths. Okay, I kind of like it. Because he's up against Mass Ling. There's the Nidus, as we mentioned. Again, 3 gases and a 4-minute lair. Ling Queen, Nidus all in. The same build that Dark did against Stats. And Hero, his response is going to be a little bit stronger here with Mass Adept. Again, Hero, he saw the lair timing, so he should be aware of the potential for Nidus. Overlord is in the main base. Hero, will he spot it? Will he spot that Nidus in time? As Dark, he's just amassing a massive flood of Lings. Queens are amassing as well. We're getting ready to dive in. Queens are on the way. Nidus into the main base, and Hero, the Stargate does spot it. Stargate is within range, but Hero, does he see the Nidus? I don't think he does. Oh. Adepts are amassing towards the left. And here comes that Nidus on the right. Yeah, Hero, no response, no reaction. The Queens, they get in. The Nidus does complete. And Hero, he's racing back home. Dark, he's popping off. He busts into the main base. Depowers, he denies +1. Glaives is going to finish. But the Adepts, they're still making their way back into the main base. Lings, they get into mineral line, and Oracle goes down. Dark making sure he fights with his Queens, especially against Adepts. Good stutter stepping here by Hero. Dark, he throws down a Bailey Nest immediately once he realizes what's going on. He needs a response for the Adepts. Hero, he is holding his own. He's killing a lot of Lings. That's true, but the Bailings are on the way. And can Hero be broken? Bailings are almost done. Adepts are slowly going down. Shield batteries are finishing. We're going to have an overcharge. We will have the overcharge for the Bailings. They get in. They smash into the mineral line. They shut down the shield batteries. They get into the economy. 12 probes go down. And the Queens, they still hold their own. Lings, they continue to flood on forward. We have another wave of Bailings on the way. But +1 finishes. +1 does complete. The Bailings, they crash in once again. Yeah, and it looks like Dark has done it. It looks like Dark, he has broken the economy. He's broken the defense. He gets in again. He just doesn't stop. Once again, we crash into the probes. And there's only a handful of Adepts remaining here. They shade back to the natural where there are more Bailings. As we get 29, soon to be 30 probe kills. 29 in total. And behind this Dark, he's throwing down a Roach Horn, making more Queens. He's still not droning, by the way. He's still flooding Lings. Because he knows that the main isn't enough. He knows he has to keep on going to the third. That's good starter stepping here out of Hero. Focuses down a couple of those Bailings. Gets a couple of them, but the main base is going to fall completely. And Hero, now he gives up on the main. He's like, screw it. I'm going across the map instead. Let's go. We get into the third. Drones are going down. And bearing in mind that Dark didn't have many workers to begin with. So his economy is not looking too hot. And we're racing back home. Dark, he's turning back around. The Queens, they have arrived. And we should be able to save the base. And Dark, I'm sure he's already content killing the main the way that he did. I'm sure he is content. Lair is done. Roach speed is now on the way. Lair's been done for a while. But Roach speed is now on the way. Dark, he's drawn up to 43. That's around 2 base saturation at this point. Dark is getting ready for the second wave. He's getting ready for the second blow here. Hero, what do we have to defend? We have 2 shield batteries at the third. We have 2 shield batteries at the natural. Creep, of course, is spreading, and the main base is forfeit. Here we go. Dark setting up for his second all-in. Or for the second wave, the second round. That is a lot of adepts. But again, that's what the Banelings and the Roaches are for. And here we go, Lings. They're busting in towards that natural. Adepts, they threaten his shade, but what are they really threatening? Yeah, we know that we can't fight here with Adepts. We have to go across the map instead. We're going for a base trade. It's the only chance that Hero has because he knows he cannot defend, not against this army. We're busting into the middle line. Oh, and the natural base is going to fall. The third is still standing. Meanwhile, across the map, Adepts, they have made it. Queens did come back home. Queens, they race back home. Roaches are amassing. Adepts, they're trying to do what they can. But there's only so much they can do against Roach Queen. As Hero is desperately trying to find some damage. He gets 2 drones, but only 2 workers. It's not going to be enough. The natural has been killed. It has been broken. Now we're pushing towards the third base. The final base of Hero. And GG gets called. There's no holding against Dark. And Dark ties up the series 1-1. GG. GG, well played. Again, so unfortunate that Hero, he in a way saw everything he needed to. Remember, he saw the fast lair. It was a 4-minute lair timing, very fast. It could be only a handful of things. Ling Queen Nidus, as we did mention, but it could have also been Ling Hydra, which I think maybe Hero was hoping for, that it was going to be Ling Hydra instead. It could have been a fast Spire. It could have been a Queen Roach Dropper all-in. Basically another Queen-based all-in. Unfortunately, Hero, he was getting ready with his Glaveness, which would have been good. The problem was that he missed the Nidus. He missed the Nidus in the main base. The Stargate swords, but Hero himself did not. He was able to get up and running, and Dark snowballed out of control from there. Unfortunately, Hero just wasn't able to respond. And with that, we have an ace match. We have a game 3. And here we go. Spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Oceanborn, we have the South Korean Zerg player. The Blue Zerg representing Talon Esports, tying up the series 1-1, forcing the ace match. It is Dark. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the Red Protoss, representing CranKy Z Gaming. It is Hero. Here we go. Is a GSL? Oh no! Be careful. I wasn't quite able to catch the GSL yet. I think we're going to be casting in a couple of days. We will be organizing a GSL cast. But apparently something similar may have occurred recently. Regardless, we are just settling into game number 3 here. It is going to be a hatch gas pool. It looks like Dark was forced to take the unnatural natural, so a little bit more of an uncomfortable opener out of Dark. Meanwhile, Hero going for a gate expand. Now we're loading into Oceanborn. Oceanborn also has a short rush distance by ground. If we wanted to go for another Queen Roach-based all-in, then Dark can definitely pull it off. It is quite popular on Oceanborn. The reason for its popularity, outside of its fast or shorter rush distance, is because of this third base. The third is quite exposed. We do have a ramp getting up to the same point of elevation as the third in the center of the map. So the Queens and Roaches, they can already push forward and there's no point of elevation to really protect the third base. There's a ramp here outside the natural, but again, the third is a little more exposed. That is why a lot of players, whether they're Zerg or even Terran or even Protoss, a lot of players have enjoyed aggression on this map when it comes to breaking this third. So that's a big reason as to why that has been quite a popular thing. So we'll keep an eye out for any fast Roach Warren from Dark. Ling Queen Nidus all-in, of course, is possible, but he's already done it once in this series. Already done it once. So here we go. Hero, he is going for a Stargate opener. Once again, going to be a Stargate opener into Oracle production. We'll see how much more aggressive he is this time. If you remember, in the last game, Hero was pretty passive. He was pretty passive with his Oracle and with his Adepts early on. But it looks like that passivity is not here in Game 3. This time, double Adept opener, not Adept Stalker. Oracle is on the way, a little bit closer to the edge. Yep, it's rallied across the map. And we're going to be trying to get some economic damage done. First Adept does shade in. We get one drone. One drone does go down. Not a bad start for Hero. He escapes with the Adepts. More Adepts on the way. Oracle as well should be zooming across the map. And we'll see if Hero can get a couple more worker kills and get his third base up and running. Here we go. As the Oracle does head towards that third Queen's Row position. They do zone back the Oracle. Adepts likewise shading towards that natural. Don't quite commit. There it is. That's a fast Roach Warren. I spoke about it at the start of the game. It's like, yo, because it's very common to go for Roach Queen all-ins, we need to keep an eye out for it. 4-minute Roach Warren timing. Very early. Unnecessary against the Stargate opener. This is for an all-in Big Scout. Oh my god, the Revelation does get eyes on the Roach Warren. Hero knows. Hero, just like the last game, he has the information he needs, but can we pull off the defense? Can we survive? We have the Forge on the way behind this for eventually +1. For even cannons? I wonder if that's what this is for. Because as a Forge before the Twilight Council. Meanwhile, Roaches are amassing. Queens should be pushing forward as well. Yep, there we go. Queens are moving forward. Roaches as well. This is a very common build on Oceanborn, which is why we brought it up earlier. And we should be committing here. Lings and Roaches, we're cutting workers at 40. Hero is getting ready. Shield batteries are on the way preemptively. Hero, he gets confirmation, seeing the Queens. So again, Hero has all the information he needs here to defend. But what about the execution? What about the defense? Stalkers are amassing. Shield batteries are finishing. Dark sending everything across the map. Behind this, he is working on a lair. It looks like Dark is working on the next step. That's going to be if the all-in fails. But we're still massing Lings. We're still not droning. Yeah, there's more shield batteries. And yep, cannons are on the way. Hero, as soon as he saw the Roach Warren, the Forge for the cannons. Let's go. Stage Trap's going to be going off. Stage Traps are going to be going off here. Only on a couple of Lings. Ravagers are being focused down. We get one. Bit of miscontrol there out of Dark. Bleeding out a Ravager. Yeah, and Dark, he doesn't believe. This defensive position is just too good. We have a wall of cannons, a wall of shield batteries. We cannot break this. Dark backs off, and Dark is droning. We spoke about the lair. We saw that as soon as the lair started, Dark, he was already getting ready for the next step, for the next phase. Lair is done. We get into Roach Speed, get into a higher form of tech instead. Dark retreats, and Hero has defended. Now, what I will say is that, unfortunately, this Twilight Council is really late. You could argue that maybe Hero overreacted a little bit. As he gets 7 drones. Oh my god. He's popping off. No Spore. No Spore here at the Natural. 1 Oracle goes down. We're getting even more drone kills. 12 workers do fall. So very nice damage done there by Hero. But again, what I'm most concerned about is we should have seen the Twilight Council around the same time as the Forge. You can see the disparity here in upgrades. Blink is a ways off. Without Blink, Hero can't be aggressive. Or it's going to be difficult to be aggressive. I should never say Hero can't be aggressive because he'll find a way. He's moving out with Stalkers. They don't have Blink. Nowhere close. But again, I feel like Hero, he does need to be active. Denies a base. He's being very active with the Oracles at least. Does deny a base. Spire is on the way. Do we get eyes on it though? The Spire is in between the bases here. And it looks like we have spotted it. Now, did Hero click on it though? You can see here. The Spire has been seen by Hero just barely. We have Blink Stalkers on the way. We have Archon soon to be on the horizon as well. But no Phoenixes. I don't think he knows what he saw. Like, the problem here is that it looks like it could be a Spore, right? Like, it's so small, it could have been a Spore. If we didn't click on it, then we don't know. We don't know for certain. We'll see as 6 mutas are on the way for Dark. Hero throwing down his Nexus, getting his 4th. Storm is on the way. I mean, at least Blink is going to be done, so Hero, he has an army to keep up with the mutas. But without Phoenixes, it's still going to be a difficult defense. Still going to be a difficult defense here for Hero. Mutas, they have popped out, so they're going to be skirting the edge of the map. They're heading out towards the natural, towards the main. Now, we do have cannons and shield batteries on the way, but yeah, natural's exposed, the main base is exposed. This tells us that Hero didn't see. Like, he didn't click on it, he wasn't certain, or he doesn't know about the Spire. And the mutas are making their way towards that natural. Probes are going to be going down. Ay. And how many probes is the question? 2, 3, 4 workers. We force a recall. 5 probes, 6 probes go down. We get a 7th. And we get into the main. The blink is there, but we barely can't keep up. We get 10 probe kills. And now we start Phoenixes. So again, Hero just wasn't able to confirm this. We're getting 11, almost 12 workers. We shave off a muta. Behind this, we can see Dark focusing on Lingbane Roach Ravager. Does have +1 air attack on the way, so we can always go back into muta production. They are keeping the army busy. Dark been able to re-drone up to 80. His 4th base is up. His 5th base is on the way. It looks like he's double expanding, getting a 5th and soon to be a 6th with this other drone. Yeah, we're going back into mutas. 13 mutas in production. Now, if Hero stopped Phoenixes, he might be in some trouble. He only has 2. Hero only has 2 Phoenixes. Really risky here to cut Phoenix production early on like this. And Dark wants to try to capitalize on that. He wants to try to catch Hero off guard by going back into mass muta. This is the power of Zerg, the power of being very flexible with your army and being very flexible with your tech. Is out of nowhere, you can suddenly make more mutas. There it is. The 16 mutas, they get into the 4th base. Oh my god, so many probes go down already. We go for the High Templar. We got 1, 2 High Templar go down. The Storm a little bit too late. More storms being thrown down, but do we bait the storm into the mineral line? Ay. Don't quite. 1 Phoenix goes down, the other is very low, and it should fall. As the mutas, they can turn around at any moment. Again, that's going to be another 13 probe kills. It's going to be 24 in total. Jesus, as we have even more mutas. We're up to 23 mutas, soon to be 25. Dark, a little bit supply blocked. 5 overlords on the way. Now, Hero realizes what's going on. 2nd Stargate being thrown down, but it's quite late. Hero supply blocked. No, he's supply blocked. He can't make any more Phoenixes. We're stuck on 3. Lingbane hitting that 3rd base. Rolling on forward. Good target firing on some of those Banelings. Banelings are spent on the side defense. It looks like we should be able to hold on, but at the same time, the mutas, they get into the natural, and Hero, he's being pulled apart. He's being pulled apart left and right. We do get a storm. Oh, we graze the army. Okay, we're on almost 30 mutas. 6 probes fall. Behind this, we have a fleet beacon. That's going to be for Phoenix range. Oh, good catch here by Hero. Gets a lot of those mutas. Very nicely done. Very nicely done, as Dark is going to be amassing his Ling towards the right-hand side. Trying to catch out that Archon. And it looks like he will get an Archon as well. Ooh, big pickoffs there by Dark. Hero bleeding out another Phoenix. The mutas, they're going to get out of control. Likewise, we break into the middle line. 8 more probes go down. Big files here on those Zealots. And the mutas are having their way with this. We dive on top of the High Templar. We force the storms on the army. Storms weren't too bad, though. They softened up a lot of mutas. But the ground army is still breaking through. We still have control of the 3rd. At the same time, rallying links to the 4th. And the Nexus is going to go down. 1 more shot. 1 more hit and the Nexus will fall. As Hero, he's barely holding on. Like, his worker count is okay. He's building up an army. If Dark is a little bit too careless, if he loses the mutas, for example, then Hero can counterattack. He has a chance. He's just stuck at home for now. He's just stuck defending. As Lings, they threaten the third base. They want it. They're going for it. They dive on the Stalkers. At the same time, Mutas, they hit the fourth. Do we have a Storm? Banelings, they crash into the mineral line. We bust into the natural as well. You can see how difficult it is for Hero to keep up. And a lot of this did come down to, I mean, unfortunately, he didn't scout the Spire earlier. He wasn't fully set up for Mass Muta. Yeah, we catch the Phoenixes. They're all going to go down one after the other. The Phoenix count is reset. The base goes down. Hero, he can't keep up. Not anymore. As Dark has gotten out of control. Has gotten out of control with this, and yeah, the Muta count is just perpetually at 35. We even have Corruptors on the way to help deal with the Phoenixes, which I don't think are necessary anymore, just because we already caught some of them, but you know, he will have a stronger army against the Phoenixes that are amassing. Annual Pulse Crystals is done. Hero knocked down to 3 bases. And Dark, he's headed for the main, or headed to whatever base he can. Do we have any High Templar? We have 5 decent amount of Storms available for Hero. From here, Dark, if we wanted to, we could tech up into Hive Tech. We don't have a Hive yet, but we can work towards Hive. We can work towards Ultras. Ultras would be good in this position as a transition. As a way out of Muta, but we're camping the production. We dive on top of the Stargates. The Corruptors, they keep the Phoenixes busy, and we focus down both Stargates. The Templar Archives as well. No more High Templar. What you see is what you get. We can't morph them in. Banelings, they crash into the third. At least it is a little bit easier to defend on 3 bases. Oh, big Storms. Big Storms on the Mutas. But again, as long as Dark doesn't slip up here, as long as he doesn't make a big mistake, then he should be okay. Collapsing on the army. Dives on forward. Where are the Storms? Ooh, big Storms on the Mutas once again. But Dark, he's trading well enough. As he does retreat. You see the Grand Army moving out. Hero, he's all in, essentially. He's all in. It's all or nothing. We have to push out. We have to break free. We do have to break free here as we focus down the Archon. Well, the main army is pushing through. We're gaining ground. Like, this all in, it's kind of working out here. Again, it's all or nothing. This has to end the game for Hero. The boys are being pulled. We collapse here on the Stalkers. The Storms are late. The High Templar are a little bit too far behind. Not a bad Storm on the Mutas. Once again, oh, we sit in it. The Mutas, they're going down to the Storms. They're being forced back in. Hero, can we force this? Can we make this work? We take down the base. We break through the defensive line. We take down the Spire. And we spoke about maybe an Ultra transition, something else other than these Mutas, but we're still stuck with a Massling Muta. That's all we have. As the third base has gone down, and Hero takes a supply lead. He's doing it. He is doing it again. There's nothing else left for him back at home. We have to keep going. We find another base. How many Storms? 3 High Templar. We have 1 Storm, soon to be 2, as one of the High Templar is just out of energy. And we're going for the base trade. We ignore the army. We recall back home. We go for the recall. We collapse on the Mutas. Uh-oh. There is a High Templar. There is a Storm. The Storm on the Mutas. We do back off. Instead, we go for the other bases. Instead. We get 1. We get 2 cannons. But we're bleeding out Mutas. Mutas at Dark. He can't really afford to lose. Mutas are being hunted down. Corruptors going ham in the main base, trying to get some bases. Meanwhile, Zelts were left behind. 48 drones go down. And remember, Dark, he lost the Spire. As he bleeds out Mutas, he can't make any more. He has a Roach Warren. He can make roaches. He's rebuilding the Spire. Rebuilding the Spire instead. Hero, he cleans up everything back at home. He did lose a base, but again, it doesn't matter. He still has a Mass Stalker army, and I think Hero's done it. GG gets called. Hero was being pulled apart, but he was building up a death ball of an army, goes for the all-in, and Hero takes the series 2-1. GG. GG, well played. Congratulations here to Hero as he does weather the storm. I mean, he held the power of the storm. Was able to take a good fight, able to snowball out of control. You can see here in the supplies as well how Dark was ahead and he took a rough fight, taking, what was it, like 2 storms to the face, and Hero snowballed out of control. Was able to break Dark, able to get on top of the tech. GG. Let's go, Bobby. Let's go. And with that, Dark has been eliminated, and I believe that is going to be the final Zerg player of the tournament. So that's typically how things go here in the ESL Open Cups. It's just a population thing, really. There was no Solar, for example. Solar wasn't a part of this ESL Open Cup. It was really on Dark and DRG. There was no Shin either. DRG got knocked out earlier in the round of 16. Dark falls in the quarterfinals. And now it's all about the Protoss and Terran. We have 2 semifinals ahead of us. We have Hero versus Beyond in the upper semis, and we have Classic versus Oliveira in the lower semifinals. Will it be a TVT, a PvP, or a PvT finals? We're here to find out. Let's go. Let us go. Vetoes are underway. I'm catching up in the chat. It's hard to say he overreacted there. You can't afford not to. I would disagree with that. So I see Oz Protoss in the chat. He's referring to the initial defense against the Roach Queen all-in. It is very common to defend against that with a Twilight Council alongside the Forge. For Hero to delay his Twilight Council in that situation, that was him maybe a little bit too afraid of Dark, which makes sense because of Dark's reputation. But it did mean that Hero wasn't able to be active in the follow-up, whereas otherwise he would have been. Instead, he was only active with the Oracles. And of course, that led into the Spire that was not quite confirmed from Hero. So without confirming the Spire, Dark was in control. He was killing workers. He was killing bases. I mean, Dark was ahead. And I mean, Dark, he forced the all-in. Basically, that was the only chance. That was the only chance that Hero had, was that all-in, was the counterattack. And hey, the storms were good enough. Dark also sat in a couple of those storms with the mutas, and with that, Hero snowballed out of control. You can see how fragile the muta army can be, and usually we do have a backup plan, right? Usually we would be taking up to a hive and to ultras behind it, or to something else. Whether it's ultras, whether it's like lurkers or broodlords. Broodlords would be a more natural transition because of the corruptor production and the Spire play. So broodlords would be another transition that you could go for. But we had no transition. We had no infestation. We have no hive. There was nothing else there for Dark. And in the end, one bad fight is all it takes. GG, well played. Hero makes it on. And I have to very quickly set things up for what comes next. It is going to be Hero versus Beyond. Let's go. Let's go. Also, predictions. I won't forget, predictions are going to be paid out. We're catching up. The comeback kid. Hero's married in his 30s. How is he a kid? I spoke about this earlier. I spoke about this like a week ago or something. How it's so weird growing up with StarCraft, right? It's so weird growing up with StarCraft because a lot of these players are still competing after so long. Like, I remember watching Hero back in Pro League. I remember watching Dark back in Pro League as well, back in 2014, 2015. And as is said, like, nowadays, Hero, Dark, and Solar, all 3 of them, they're all married. Like, that's crazy. Like, they're all married. They're starting their families, you know? Like, they're living their lives. And it's just crazy to like, process that, you know? Like, it's been that long. It's crazy. It's been that long. Oh. That's his idol face. It's my resting face, Papi. As we're getting into the semifinals, and here we go. We're going to be loading into Hecate. The vetoes are done. Lobby has been made. We're getting into a PVT. And if you're in the chat, predictions are going to be open. Give me a minute. Give me un momento here. Here we go. Spawning in the top right-hand corner of Hecate, we have our South Korean Protoss player. The blue Protoss representing CranKy Gaming. Ooh, he just took down a Dark in a brutal quarterfinals match, but now he's made it to the semifinals. Can he go all the way? It's the best Protoss in Korea, arguably the best Protoss in the entire world. He's been having an amazing year so far, an amazing performance at whether it's IEM, whether it's Masters Coliseum, whether it's these online events. We have, representing CranKy Gaming, Hero. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have his opponent, we have the South Korean Terran player. The red Terran representing Shopify Rebellion. It is Byun. Byun, who just took down both Estrella and Nightmare. What do those two players have in common? Estrella and Nightmare. I mean, outside of... I was going to take that in a different direction. They're both Protoss. Estrella and Nightmare, they are both Protoss players, and likewise, so is Hero. Byun, he has made his way to the semis purely off of his TVP. He is clearly warmed up, but can you really warm up for a player like Hero? Hero, he's so much more aggressive, so much more assertive, especially in a matchup like this. We have been casting a lot of Hero recently. For those who maybe are unaware, Hero, again, he's had a great January and February so far. Here in the month of March, we have seen Hero back-to-back become ESL Open Cup Americas champions. He has beaten Max Pax week after week in ESL Open Cup Americas. 2 weeks in a row, Hero has been coming out on top. And now he's here looking to take and claim ESL Asia, arguably a harder weekly tournament. Can Hero pull it off? Oh boy, we're here to find out. Byun back at home, double gas opener. Double gas opener leads into a faster factory, into a delayed CC. A very aggressive build here out of Byun. He will not be going all in. It looks like a CC on the high ground. A very safe expansion here by Byun. Makes sense. Hero, if he sees vulnerability, if he sees an exposed base, he will punish you. So Byun just playing very safe behind this. Going for an add-on swap. Now, I was going to say that double gas openers can lead into Reaper Hellion, they can lead into committed mine drops, or they can lead into early game Cyclones. There it is, Cyclones are on the way. Thankfully, Hero doesn't open Stargate. If Hero had opened Stargate, he'd be in some trouble. Oracles and Phoenixes can have a hard time defending against early Cyclone aggression. Meanwhile, we can see that Byun hasn't been scouting, and Hero did blindly go into a Twilight Council into Woods Blink Stalkers. So Hero is going to be safe. Adept Shades across the map. Cyclone is going to be scouted and confirmed, and Hero now knows that Cyclones are moving out. Now, reactively, Hero can throw down additional gateways. He can go for not just 2-gate blink, 3-gate blink would be the safest that he could go for. So we'll see if he does commit to that. Behind this, Byun going to be establishing himself here on these two bases, going for a second Rax before Starport. Big moment here for Byun. That is a delayed Starport. That means that the ground army is going to be amassing. This is going to be a very aggressive build here from Byun, delaying his medevacs in favor of more Marines and a larger army. Meanwhile, one Cyclone goes down. Big pick off there by Hero. Catches the Cyclone already. Cyclones are very momentum-based. They build up and they snowball out of control very quickly, but to lose one Cyclone already, that is huge. One Cyclone, one Marine for one Adept. Rough trade there for Byun. Is still moving out, is still going to be threatening the natural base. Speaking of gateways are finishing up, it is 3-gate blink out of Hero. We go for the shield battery, but we will zone back those Cyclones. Again, 3-gate blink into a third base. This is just a safe opener out of Hero. This is designed to expand and take a third. This is not meant to be an all-in and not meant to be overly aggressive. Unless we throw down a 4th gateway. So we should be looking to expand. Byun is forced back, and Byun behind this going into really fast tank production. We have 1 tank already, 2nd tank on the way, 3rd Rax we're pushing. So this is looking borderline 2-base all-in from Byun. With this kind of build, you can even pull the boys as well. once these upgrades get up and running. We're going to be prioritizing combat shields. Yo, it's a Dolan build. Let's go. This is going to be a timing, not with Stim, but with combat shields. I remember seeing this from Dolan back on, it wasn't Moondance. What was the other map? Stargazers, that's it. Back on Stargazers a year ago. Stim also on the way. Again, beyond this build is going to hit like a truck. Observer does spot it. Big scout. Big scout here by Hero. He does get eyes on the army. He does get eyes on the move outs. Again, thankfully, he did go for a 3-gate opener. Stalkers are moving out. They have to try and slow this down. And we have more warp-ins behind this. More Stalkers on the way. Hero, he needs to chip away at this army. Oh, gets a couple of hits off on the tank. Gets a couple of hits off. Boys have been pulled to repair. Again, the boys are here to repair, to throw down some bunkers if need be. Good blinks out of Hero. He does get a Cyclone. Does get a Cyclone. The tanks are sieged, barely within range of one of the gateways. Bunkers are on the way as well. Third base has been taken, but towards the right-hand side. It is safer up for now. Disruptor has made it. Risky move going for the Disruptor. Nova going to be going off. We dive on the tanks. First tank goes down. Second Nova going to be connecting here with the other tank as well. Big connection. Very nice control here out of Hero. Overcharge, though, is running out, and we have another tank. You can see here that, again, Beyond is not slowing down. He is committed. Stim is still not done. And we're within range of the gateways. Second Disruptor's on the way. The first one has reset its Nova. Nova goes off. Oh, no connection, though. Good splits out of Beyond. And Hero's in a bit of trouble. One gateway goes down, the second gateway as well. Nova, once again, does connect with the tank. We go on it. Big moment there. Big connection for Hero. Gets another tank. But the bunkers are up. So far, good blinks out of Hero. Barely losing anything. He lost 7 Stalkers earlier, but in this trade at least, didn't lose much of anything, as now the Nova's going to be going for the bunkers. Novas are going to be going off. I believe one Nova can connect with both bunkers, so we can power these bunkers down. Yeah, we go for it. Yeah, big connections. One bunker falls. Tank does on siege. Yeah, we Stim 1-4. Stim is done! Overcharge is pop. We're going to try and focus this down. The shield battery's depowered. The robo's depowered as well. And Beyond, he's breaking through. The boys have to be pulled. A brutal moment there. The Artosis pylon is brutal. Never goes off. Not quite connecting, though. Oh, the other doesn't connect either. We shut down the Cyclone, but it looks like Beyond, he has too much. He's broken the natural. Kills 22 workers. Denies the Colossus. And Beyond has done it. Again, it was a 2-base all-in. No Stargate whatsoever. Very strong timing with the initial combat shields, followed by the Stim. Hero, he's going for one final stand. Dives on top of the tanks once again. Gets both tanks. But what about the Bio Army? We may not have medevacs, but do we need them? We are picking away at the Marines and the Marauders. Hero is forcing this back. The problem here is that Hero is all in. Hero is down to 26 probes. The Disruptor. One Disruptor goes down. We're down to 1 remaining. We clean up the army. Finally, we break free, but Beyond, he's got his 3rd base on location. Very greedy move. Can Hero deny it? Hero does have a 3rd. Remember, he has a 3rd Nexus. He can make 3 probes at a time. Can he somehow counterattack and deny the 3rd base of Beyond? Oh. But now he cannot. Nova not going to be connecting. Hero fanning out his observers. He will get eyes on the base, but the base is about to finish. And we shut down the observer. What did Hero see? Didn't see the base. Has a Colossus. Tank shot goes off. Beyond. Is holding. And from here, Beyond is going to be able to maintain his economy. We can see Hero, he's chronoing out his probes as hard as possible. He's even pulled out a gas. 0 gas is being taken in the main. 0 gas is here at the natural. This is just purely designed to build up the probe count. Purely designed to catch back up into this. Hero going to be pushing. Beyond building up. We got 1-1 on the way on the horizon for Beyond. There we go. We push on forward. Nova goes off. We avoid the Nova. Big tank volleys here on the Colossus. We have one Colossus remaining. The other was a hallucination. Going for a warping of Zealots. Like, Hero is pretty committed with this. We can't afford to lose any of his high-tech units. We'll deny and delay the 4th, at least. Sure. There's that. Sorry, that's the Ghost Academy. My apologies. We'll delay the Ghost Academy. Dives on the army. Big tank volleys going off, though. The army is overstinned. We've had no medevac support the entire game. But again, we might just not need it. As we kite against the Zealots, we collapse here on top of the army. Disruptor goes down. And now we're going for the Colossus as well. We do at least save the Colossus, but again, Hero, he's still got half the worker count of his opponent. Still nothing else left. Pushing on forward with his Zealots. Again, he is all in. Boys are being pulled. 16 probes go down, or 16 SCVs. That's a good amount of economic damage. But now we have medevacs. Now we have medevacs to support. So we dive on the army. Good juggling here from Hero. Again, he's trading as best as possible. Like, it's impressive. Impressive how much value he's gotten with the one Colossus. But there's only so much one Colossus can do. Only so much. Now behind this, now we're taking our gases. Now we're actually saturating them. At least one in the pocket. Sorry, in the natural. Oh, drop across the map is going to be brutal. As Hero, he does rotate over towards that main. The Vikings are out. Drop comes in. We depower the Forge. Not like this. We focus it down as well. We deny +1. We lose our Colossus across the map, and that may just be it. We lose the Colossus, we lose the Prism. We're going for the 3rd base. We're going to be able to focus it down as well. Marauders, they do so much damage to buildings, and GG gets called. Björn takes a lead in this series. GG. Takes game number 1. Again, Hero, he did spot the army moving out. It was very important that he was able to get eyes on it. He was able to slow it down. It was risky of him to go for disruptors of all things. We saw some good Novas, don't get me wrong. We saw some very nice Novas, but unfortunately, we did lose quite a bit of momentum. The Artosis pylon was brutal. Losing power of the shield battery and of the Robo, delaying the Colossus was massive. And I think that was the moment that basically Björn won the game. Is killing that pylon, disrupting the production, and breaking the natural all at the same time. That was a pretty pivotal moment there, and Hero just barely wasn't able to hold on. It was close, though. It was close. Was close. GG, well played. Björn takes the lead in the series, and now we're getting into game number 2. Starport, not Stargate. Yeah. It happens both ways. Maziondo in the chat. Where I very often... I don't know if you've noticed, but sometimes I say Stargate when I mean Starport. Sometimes Starport when I mean Stargate. Very often I've called like CCs, like, Nexi CCs, or CCs like hatcheries. Like, you know what I mean. Well, I'm still waking up. Do apologize though. But here we go, spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of site Delta, we have our South Korean Protoss player, the blue Protoss representing Dragon KZ Gaming. Down in this series, he needs to fight back here and now to force the ace match. It is Hero. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Terran player, the Red Terran representing Shopify Rebellion, leading the series 1-0. He's made his way to the semis purely based off of TVP. Can he make it to the finals purely off of TVP as well? We're here to find out. It is Björn. We old, Pappy, we old. Ah, oh, Smooch. Dark is married? Yes. For those who... There are people asking or questioning in the chat. Yes, Dark, Hero, and Solar. I know those are the 3 that are married. They're like... If you look at their like social media, you can see their like wedding photos and stuff like that. They all married quite a number of years ago. I want to say like 2021, 2022, 2020, 2020 even for some of them. But yeah. They're all married. There might be more Koreans that are married, but those are the 3 that I'm aware of. Yeah, those are the 3 that I'm aware of at least. I know Armani has a partner. I don't think Armani is married yet. I mean, he recently retired. But yeah, it's crazy. Crazy. They're living their lives, but it's crazy. As this time we're going for a very different opener. Okay, so one gas, single gas opener into a Rax Expand economic opener out of Byun. Likewise, Byun skips his SCV scout. Byun, he didn't SCV scout in game 1, doesn't SCV scout here in game 2. Byun, Cure, a lot of the Korean Terrans are known for avoiding SCV scouting in this matchup, and behind this it's going to be a 3 Rax. So Rax Expand into a 3 Rax, a very aggressive build here by Byun. The way this works, this is going to be hitting a very strong stim timing. Stim is going to be on the horizon, and this is ideal against Stargate openers. Speaking of, that's a Stargate opener. Uh-oh. Okay, so I'm a little bit concerned. Obviously, if Hero scouts this, then he can react and do well. But again, as I just mentioned, this is ideally against Stargate. Reason why is because this should be a Phoenix-based opener, and Phoenix against Mass Marine can struggle. Because what do Phoenixes do? They can pick up Marines 1 at a time, and when you have like 20 Marines, man, you don't care. You don't care if a Phoenix is lifting you up like that. You can focus the Phoenixes down very quickly and snowball out of control. So the sooner Hero realizes what's going on, the better. But that's what it's about. It's about scouting. All about scouting right now for Hero, as he is going for those Phoenixes. Behind this, he's setting up. This looks like a Phoenix Colossus-based opener from Hero into a 3rd base. We'll see when he throws down the Bay. When he throws down the Robo, when he throws down the Bay. If he's too greedy, Hero could die. If he's safe, then he's going to be okay. What I mean by that, with your Robo follow-up, you can start an Immortal. If we skip the Immortal, I mean, we're in trouble. So we got to be careful, Bob. We got to be careful. As Hero, he moves out with his Stalkers for a moment. He has seen Marines, but I mean, this could just be like a 2-on-1 variation. Like, seeing all these Marines isn't the entire story. Hero doesn't know anything or everything yet. He only has a piece of the puzzle, as he's banking up Phoenixes, and he needs to be active with them. The problem is that he's banking up Phoenixes maybe in preparation for a drop, for like a Widowmine drop, which would have been the case if it was a 1-1-1, but there's no drop whatsoever, and we need to move out. There we go. Phoenixes are moving out across the map. Never mind. And the Marines are coming, and Hero doesn't know. There is a shield battery, but it's quite exposed. He has the high ground. He has a sentry. Okay. Sentries are crucial. Force fielding the ramp here is ideal, and we can cut this army in half. Yeah, the move that has been spotted. Hero knows. He knows what's going on. He's catching reinforcements. He's ready with the sentry. 2nd shield battery on the way immediately here for Hero. We have the overcharge. We stim on forward. Force field will slow this down. We get the shield battery at least. We force back the army. We get a Stalker. And again, there's just so much DPS here. We're slowly breaking through, waiting out those force fields. And we've made it in. 2nd shield battery is not ready. We dive on top of the sentries and the Stalkers. They're going down one after the other. And Byun, is this too much? The boys, they have to be pulled. We get a couple of workers, but we're running out of steam. And we're holding. We will hold. Barely bleeding out 6 probes. This is a pretty successful attack, though. As Hero, he holds on. Byun is getting his 3rd base behind this. What did we get? We got 7 probes. We got 2 sentries, the shield batteries, 3 Stalkers. Pretty good trade nonetheless, especially because that was a pretty wasteful army. Well, that wasn't a very high-tech army. It was like Marines and 2 Marauders. There wasn't much going on, and Byun wanted to move out again. Greedy move there by Byun. Does almost catch a Phoenix. Again, Byun's still rallying, by the way, bleeding out more units. Byun being very aggressive with his army. Again, the 3rd base is on the way. Byun, he still wants to push out with the 2nd wave. What do we have to defend? Sentry, okay. Oh, we have a sentry. We have a force field. We need it. As Byun is still building up a 2nd force. Do you see the Phoenixes trying to catch some Marines? Okay, Byun is pulling back. Thankfully, he does pull back. We're getting into a longer game. Beyond getting into his 5-rack setup, getting into his third. Meanwhile, Hero back at home, working towards Colossus. Oh, that's a lot of gateways. Interesting. That's a lot of gateways on the way here. 6 gates in total. No third base. This looks like a 2-base all-in. Like, our third is so heavily delayed for Hero. We'll see if he does expand. As Bjarne's already got his third on location. So the way this dynamic works is that Protoss should be ahead in bases against Terran. Because of mules. Like, Protoss needs to be ahead. Now that we've confirmed the third base, it may just be an all-in. It may just be nothing but an all-in here for Hero. Yeah, +1 is about to kick in. The base is going to finish up for Colossus. And we're moving out. Okay, we do have a Zealot on the right-hand side. We have Stalkers towards the left. Blink is done. There is no charge. They're going to be slow lots in the main. And Hero, he needs to get some damage done. He needs to punish the greed here of Bjarne. You see, Bjarne's up almost 20 workers. Third base now on the way. But we need to do damage. We get a couple of SCVs. Zealots that get into the main. Getting even more damage done. Okay, the main base, we still one forward. Ooh. Focus down. We try to focus down that Prism. Prism survives. We get 6 workers. That was pretty efficient. Like, if we look at the trade here, Hero, he killed 6 workers, didn't lose anything. Didn't lose a single unit. So, very efficient trades here by Hero. This is what he needs to do. He needs to keep picking off workers, avoiding losses. Gets a Marauder. Oh, but Bjarne is going to chase him down. And you can see how far ahead Bjarne is. Because Bjarne is ahead in economy, like, his army is massive. And Hero's in a lot of trouble after the opener. Yeah, Hero was just... His third base is just so late. He's been contained far too long. Bjarne's coming in for the kill. We do have a Colossus. We do have some force fields. EMP grazes the army. Does graze the army here, as Hero's going to be able to force this back. Bjarne... Oh! Catching a Stalker. Does catch a Stalker. 2-2 on the horizon. Armory is delayed for Bjarne, so 2-2 is late, a little bit later. A little bit delayed. But Bjarne is still in the driver's seat. We're going for a big counterattack at the same time. Hero needs Bjarne to turn around. He needs him to go back home. Here's him into the main. We go for the warp in, and we are denied the warp in. The Prism goes down. Zealots are being cleaned up. We do have Zealots harassing and delaying the 4th base. Bjarne turns around. Force to cancel. Force to cancel the 4th. Rebuilding in the main base instead. But again, Bjarne still has a massive economic lead, and he's almost maxed out. He's almost maxed out at this point. Hero going for a counterattack. Moving out with his Colossi. Could catch a portion of the army. Ooh, takes a mind to the face. But again, Bjarne is a bit out of position with these Marines. I say out of position. He could set up a first round. He collapses on the army. Big EMPs here on the Stalkers. Yeah, we dive on top of the Colossus. We get one. And we're going to get the other. There's no Warp Prism. It died earlier. We cannot juggle. We cannot keep these Colossi alive. They're going to be hunted down. A second Colossus falls. Phoenixes, they try to add some DPS here, but the final Colossus will be shut down. And Bjarne is snowballing out of control. And he's still going to make it to the finals. Hero in a lot of trouble again. It was a rough opener. The 3-racks did do a lot of damage. Did do a lot of damage. Did contain and delay the 3rd base. And eventually Hero was essentially forced all in. Boys are being pulled. Colossus doing what it can. 15 probes fall. And we shut the Colossus down. And with that, GG gets called. Bjarne will take the series 2-0, advancing on to the grand finals. GG. GG, well played. Very aggressive games here from Bjarne. Game number 1, he went for, of course, reacted Cyclones into the 2-base all-in, with his tank push, of course. Game number 2, it was a 3-axe Marine into a very fast 3rd, and he was able to get enough damage done with his 3-racks, able to contain Hero to 2 bases, able to get away with a very fast 3rd, and Hero wasn't able to punish it. He wasn't able to break out. He had the option to maybe try and go for the all-in. Hero was trying to get back into it economically, into a longer game with the 3rd. but he was just too far behind. Too far behind by that point. GG. Byun advances on. GG, well played. And again, the Phoenix Opener just wasn't able to do much damage. Ideally, Phoenix Openers, they give you map control by shutting down drops, and they could also harass the opponent's economy. But against a 3-Vax, that dynamic isn't really there. We were picking up reinforcements at least, but that's all the Phoenixes really did do. And with that, we have our first finalist, and my apologies, we have our grand finals. Let's go. Okay, exclamation mark B in the chat. As we have a look at the bracket here, we have our grand finals. Scrolling on down, of course, we have Byun taking down Hero, advancing on to the finals. As we scroll down, we already saw Classic 2-0 DRG. Oliveira 2-0's Cure. That's a big win. A big win for Oliveira. He 2-0's Cure in the TVT, and he also takes down Classic 2-1 as well. Oliveira advances on to the grand finals. It is going to be a TVT. A TVT between Oliveira and Byun. Let's go. It's all about the Terran here. Again, my condolences to the Zerg and the Protoss players out there. Dark, he went down to Hero earlier, and both Hero and Classic, they both fell in the semifinals as well. And now it all comes down to our two finalists. Let's go. We have to pay out the predictions. Pay them out, Pac. I'm catching up. Exclamation mark frozen. Oh, hello, Spats. Hello, Spats. ¿Qué tal? ¿Cómo estás? Welcome, welcome. But yeah, it's not frozen. It's a screenshot, Pappy. It's a screenshot. Crank as well, of course. I mean, Crank, he's been married for a long time. Years, Pappy, years. Berkshire's married. I'm talking about like the, you know, the newer generation or the later generation. Question Light, is team/club in NV still a team? Are they still open to signing players or just show matches for now? From my understanding, just show matches. I mean, they do sponsor some players. They sponsor Creator. They still support Creator. But from my understanding, they are not. They don't really have the funds to house a larger team, so they only sponsor a handful of players. I don't think they're too interested in signing others. From my understanding. Bill's 3 axes gets 7A. Yeah. Spam this olive branch to help Oliveira advance. Meanwhile, Vetoes are finishing up. Sorry, I was just catching up with the chat. Just catching up. For those who don't know, there is a delay on stream. There is a 2-minute delay. 2-minute delay here for ESL Open Cup. So here we go. You can hear the beeps. The finals are upon us. And let me quickly set up those finals. As we may have left someone behind. Where's Inu? Wait, what? Wait, what just happened? Uh-oh. I'm a little bit concerned. But here we go. We're getting ready for the grand finals. Predictions are open. Place your bets on who you believe will advance on or will be this week's ESL Open Cup Asia champion. Will it be one Terran or the other? Up to you to decide. Let me just quickly post. Predictions open. And spawning in the top right-hand corner of Hecate, we have our red Terran player representing Shopify Rebellion. Ooh, it's our Korean Terran. He just took down the hero, just took down so many Protoss players, but can he take down the Terran? It is Byun. And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the Chinese Terran player, the reigning world champion representing CranKy Z Gaming. It is Oliveira. Let's go. And a big shout out in the chat to, I believe, let me just double check. Yep, a big shout out to Into the Inu. Annyeong haseyo, baby. Kamsahamnida. Thank you so much for the raid. I was a little bit concerned. I saw you leave and I was like, wait, what's happening? Did we miss our Korean caster? Looks like maybe something came up. So Inu won't be casting, unfortunately. But welcome everyone. Welcome to the CranKy Ducklings. We don't cast Korean. I don't speak Hangul. I can't write Hangul. We are, of course, an English stream. We did come from Crank. If you are familiar with J1 Choi Crank, we did come from his fan base back in the day, back in 2017, 2016, 2015, 2014, way back when we used to, of course, be a part of Crank's community. We still are in a way, but that was also back when he stopped streaming in English, started streaming in Korean, and we branched off. We became our own. We became the CranKy Ducklings. And we have Crank as a part of our name to pay tribute to Crank. Crank doesn't really have much to do with our organization, but to pay tribute to Crank, that's why we're CranKy. CranKy, baby, CranKy. Let's go. As we do have double gas opener. Okay, double gas opener out of Oliveira going for a faster factory. Meanwhile, Byun going for an economic opener. Rax expands, so economic out of Byun, aggressive out of Oliveira. Now with the faster factory, we can go into faster Cyclone production. We can head into Reaper Hellion in the early game. We can go a couple of different directions, or even into fast tanks. Now, in recent times in TVT, we've seen Oliveira deviate away from Cyclones early on. So he makes like 2, maybe 3 Cyclones, then bam, into fast tank production. We've seen Oliveira quite fond of fast tanks, and he avoids the Cyclone versus Cyclone portion of TVT. That's at least what he attempts to do. Meanwhile, Byun across the map is just getting into his 1-on-1. We do have a Hellion as a follow-up. It is just going to be to scout, as we will be eventually moving out to get some scout information. Again, Byun, he avoided the SCV scout, so did Oliveira. No SCV scouts, very limited information between our players. And there it is. There is that tech lab on the factory. I'm curious if we're going for an add-on swap here for the factory on the reactor. We are not. I believe this should be for earlier tank production. Yep, there it is. So this is what I just referred to, where Oliveira is very fond of this build. He does it very often in TVT. This is another viable option. So if you're a Terran player out there, and if you dislike Cyclone versus Cyclone, I don't blame you. Oliveira doesn't like it either. And again, this is just, you start with the Cyclone first, then bam, really fast tanks. And it's a more defensive style where you set up with 2, 3, 4 tanks, and then we can break free, get a third base, and push out across the map with a tank lead. Now, it's going to be on Byun to try to deal with that, as he has been reactoring out Cyclones. So this is the dynamic that we often see. We have a tank-heavy style against a Cyclone-heavy style. Byun has a more maneuverable army. Can he break the defenses of Oliveira? As Oliveira is setting up here back at home. He has a tank in the mineral line already. Drop comes in. Tank shot goes off. Yeah, and Byun has to pick up. So far, good defense here by Oliveira. And now Byun knows what's been going on. Now he's aware of the build. He's aware that the tank count is going to get higher. Now, there is a moment where Byun can break Oliveira. What I mean by that is we have Ravens and we have Interference Matrix on the way. So with enough Ravens and with enough Cyclones, we can disable these tanks and break through and end the game. That is possible here. That is going to be an option for Byun as he's getting a third base on location. Very smart move. So I was just referring to what Oliveira is doing, right? He's building up an early tank count. He's walling up. He's being very defensive. Now that Byun knows that Oliveira is being defensive, be greedy, right? Byun has map control. Oliveira isn't moving out anytime soon, so take a fast third. Take a third on location. Work on our production. Work on our add-ons. Work on our upgrades. Work on our tech. That's what I was looking for. Tech. So Byun, he's just being greedy here back at home, getting into all of our add-on subs. He has a very small army to work with, and, you know, he's feeling pretty safe. Going for a Cyclone drop, but again, Oliveira's in position. Oliveira's playing defensively. Now, just because he's going for a tank so early on, he's not playing mech. That's not what I mean. It's still bio tank, but just really fast tank production. As long as Oliveira doesn't take too many losses, he should be okay. But, oh, 2 SCVs go down. 2, 3, 4 workers. You can see how quickly SCVs kill workers. 5 SCVs did fall. And Oliveira's pushing. Now, this is his power spike. Now, remember, Oliveira has a lead in tanks. In a head-on fight, I have to favor Oliveira. He does have a stronger army. And Bjorn, has he been too greedy? We're here to find out. Oliveira, he did recognize that Bjorn was cutting corners. Now he's pushing. Bjorn does have those ravens. More SCVs going down. We get 10 more worker kills. Bjorn with a massive economic lead. He does slow down the army. The tanks do siege. But Oliveira, we gotta go. We gotta go now. As we slowly leapfrog forward up the ramp. Bjorn has 0 tanks. He has the first tank in production. As we slowly push forward. Again, the ravens are biding their time. We're building up energy for those disables. Or auto turrets, or both. You see Oliveira spread out his army. Ready to receive. Again, leapfrogging forward. The Vikings are here to zone away the ravens. Big moment here for Oliveira, rushing into the Vikings as well. Zoning those ravens away. Likewise, we have Vikings of our own. Tanks are getting within range of the gas geyser. They're getting within range. Gas geyser does go down. We have the disable. Yeah, we're slowly pushing forward. Order starts to go down. Boys are being pulled. Bjorn in a lot of trouble. He disables every single tank. The disables are real. We collapse on the army. We push on forward with the Marines. And we focus down the tanks. And it looks like we get every single tank just barely. A big fight there for Bjorn. He breaks on through. He crushes the army. He does lose 22 SCVs, but he has a third base. He has a third on location. He's only down, what, for 7 workers. Only down 7 workers. We're going for a big counterattack at Oliveira. What does he have left? Look at the army. He has 1 tank. 1 tank remaining. Third CC is done, but it is not on location for Oliveira. He's going to be stuck at home, and Bjorn can resaturate. On top of that, he could even find some damage. As here we go. We have the Vikings came to the production. They dive on top of the Vikings of Oliveira. We focus 1 down. We focus both of them down. Good moves there by Bjorn. Does land in the main base. At the same time, we could try to break on through. Oh, killing the Marines. The Vikings, they're popping off. They're popping off, Papi. We're waddling in. We got 2 workers in the main before lifting off. And Bjorn doesn't commit. I believe Bjorn lost his ravens, right? Yeah. Bjorn, in the fight, he lost his ravens, so he cannot break this. Just containing his opponent. We'll back off. Happily droning up. It feels weird saying SCVing up, like droning up is a thing, but yeah. He backs off, building up his workers. Getting into that worker production. And he's caught up. You could see that earlier he was down 7 SCVs, and now he has taken a worker lead. That is the power of the third CC. Meanwhile, Oliveira just now taking his own third base. Bjorn being very active. Now there are medevacs to support the army. And can Oliveira expand? Can he establish his third base? Bjorn is here to make sure that that does not happen. Tanks A2 siege. We still want forward. We go for the dive. And the tanks are exposed. GG gets called. They get caught out completely. And Bjorn takes game number 1. GG. Let's go. GG, well played. Bjorn will take game number 1, but this is a best of 5, and that was a pretty close game. Like, the push from Oliveira had a lot of potential. Was almost able to bust on through. Bjorn, by pulling the boys, barely did hold. And that was game, essentially. If that hold was any worse, then that could have been it. It was so important that Bjorn was able to hold on to his ravens, build up that energy. As we saw, the big moment for Bjorn was disabling every single tank because he had so much energy, because he had his ravens. Unfortunately, Oliveira wasn't able to zone those ravens away with his Vikings, wasn't able to stop them. GG. Catching up in the chat. I like CranKy Ducklings game video the most among the overseas broadcasting team. Oh, gracias, papi, gracias. I understand. Light is in the future already. I'm 2 minutes in the future. True. You're in the past. Oh. Annyeong haseyo. See in the chat. I never knew CranKy Ducklings came from Crank, and now I feel kind of stupid. How is this info slipped by? What do you mean? That's where we came from. That's why it's a duck. If you were watching Crank, J1 Choi, back in the day, his mascot was a duck. That was his mascot. That's why we chose to become Ducklings. The history of the CranKy Ducklings. That's where we came from, back in 2014. But here we go, spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Alkyone, leading the series 1-0, representing Shopify Rebellion, the South Korean Terran. It is Byun. And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have as opponent, we have the Chinese Terran player, the reigning world champion, down in this series, but it's a best of 5 map. We have plenty more maps ahead of us, plenty more games to come. I'm here for it. I'm ready for it. The blue Terran, it, representing CranKy Gaming, it is Oliveira. Let's go. Let us go as we are getting into our openers, and once again we do have Oliveira opening up double gas opener out of Oliveira here, 2 games in a row. Meanwhile, Byun going for an economic Rax expand. Only a single gas here from Byun, is going for a CC following the Rax. So yeah, very similar to the previous setup that we had, where Oliveira can be a little bit more aggressive early on. We saw that this led into fast tank production. It was the fast tank build from Oliveira. Again, this is an alternative build that has been getting more popular recently. We've seen even Byun whip out this build. We've seen Cure whip it out as well, going for the faster tanks. But I want to say that Oliveira popularized it. I can't say for certainty that Oliveira started it. I don't know that for certain. I just noticed it more from Oliveira first. So yeah, you know, if anyone knows where it started, then let us know. Give us an idea. I always associate it with Oliveira. As we're getting into our factory, of course, Rax into factory with a double gas opener, Byun CC on the low ground, and we're loading into Alkyone. Alkyone is a much larger map, has a longer rush distance by ground, a lot of bases to be taken. We've seen a lot of late game here on Alkyone. A big reason for this is because leading into the third base, we have a ramp. You have the high ground advantage at the third. Likewise, here at the fourth base, it's a narrow choke point as well. These are pretty well defendable, so we have seen longer games as a result. We do have the add-on swap here from Oliveira this time. Going to be reactoring out those Cyclones. Okay. Going for the reactored Cyclones, going for additional Cyclones behind this as well, I imagine. We'll see. So already Oliveira is mixing it up. If you remember, last time he did not go into reactored Cyclone production. Did not occur. Back at home, we have our 1-1-1 setup here by Byun. This should be leading to a Cyclone drop. I know that I've been focusing a lot on what Oliveira's been up to, but on the side of Byun, we should be going for a medevac, yep, into a Cyclone drop. We saw this attempted in game number 1 by Byun, but because of the fast tank, Oliveira swatted it away. Like, the Cyclone drop initially didn't do a lot of damage, but in the follow-up, the double Cyclone drop did. Remember, we killed 10 workers of Oliveira as Oliveira was pushing. So drop play has a lot of potential. It's on the way for Byun. Meanwhile, Oliveira this time is embracing the Cyclones. This time we're not rushing into tanks. A very different follow-up by Oliveira. Medevac is on the way. We're going for a Cyclone drop and a Cyclone push. Okay. If you can't beat them, join them, right? Like, Oliveira in game 1 was like, I don't want to make your Cyclones. And I was like, okay, I'll make them. We'll do it, Papi. This is how it's going to go. We'll embrace it. Mass Cyclone here from both players. They're being reactored out. This is how TVT meta has evolved and shifted in the new patch. There are builds that can avoid it like we saw in game 1, but here in game 2, we're embracing it. We're embracing the Cyclones, Papi. As we should be building up towards around 10 Cyclones. For those that are curious, it isn't like we're making Cyclones and nothing but Cyclones. We should be cutting at around 8 to 12, around there. So safely I say 10, but like 8 to 12 Cyclones is where we stop, and then we start getting into a third base, into tank production, into biotank. Meanwhile, here comes the first drop from Byun. Byun does slip in. Gets 2 workers, doesn't lose much of anything, and does hide here in the top right-hand corner of the map. At the same time, Oliveira likewise going to be getting ready for his own harass as well. There we go. Medevac does drop into the main. We have our 2 Cyclones. Beyond approaching this very carefully. Does get a couple of hits in, but we do see Beyond backing off. Third CC has been thrown down in the main base by Beyond. Likewise, third base already on the way for Oliveira. We spoke about how economic and how late game centric Alcyone can be. This map, I mean. That's where we're going here. You know, fast third bases here for both players. Should be establishing ourselves on 3 bases, working towards a 4th, working towards a longer game. We should be heading there unless someone pops off with their Cyclones. Looking at the unit count here, we have 10 Cyclones here for Oliveira. We spoke about up to 12. We'll see if he exceeds 12 Cyclones. This is around the pace that we should be stopping. Meanwhile, we see Beyond at 7 and stopping at 7. Now we're going into the add-on sauce. We're getting into our bio, getting into our tank production. Beyond, he's cutting Cyclones at 7. Meanwhile, Oliveira will have a Cyclone lead. Getting up to 12. Let's go. And there we go. We're stopping at 12. Again, we typically don't go more than that unless we're playing mech. There is a mech style in TVT where you throw down a 2nd and 3rd factory, you just mass Cyclone. That is a thing. We've seen that from Gumiho. We've seen that from Hero Marine. There are Terra players out there that embrace that. But we can see here, now we're going into our transition into Biotank. Now, this is a bit of a give and take. Oliveira has a Cyclone lead. He has to use it. He has to make use of this, otherwise he's just falling behind. Otherwise, you know, Beyond is just going to have a more efficient army as the game goes on. Cyclones, they don't scale amazingly into the late game. So for the time being, this feels overly safe from Oliveira. But he does get his 3rd. 3rd is up. Beyond, his own 3rd is still not quite landed. Still, there we go, now being taken. A couple of seconds later than that of Oliveira's. Now we have Stim on the way, 1-1. Building up into our bio army. And here we go. Now Oliveira's pushing. Remember, he does have the Cyclone lead. He also has Ravens with Interference Matrix. He has Disables available here to shut down the tanks. So even though Beyond has 2 tanks, they can be disabled and Oliveira can break through. He scans, sees the army, sees the tank count. Again, it's going to be risky here to push on in. But Oliveira also knows he has to make use of this army in some way. Goes for another scan. He's coming in for the disable. He gets 1. Ooh, but the counter disables on the Ravens. Oh my god. Beyond. The counter disable. He shuts 2 of those Ravens down. And just like that, Oliveira is denied. My god, he has 1 Raven left. Gets 1 disable off, but there's 1 tank still siege. We have the counter disable as well. We shut down the tank and Beyond holds. He gets away with a higher tank count. He just killed the tank of Oliveira. And looking at the units tab here, we have 3 tanks to 1. Beyond has a stronger army. Oliveira going for a Doom drop, going for a triple drop into the main. At the same time, Beyond also going for the same triple Cyclone drop. Or triple medevac drop of 6 Cyclones. Here we go. Oliveira, he's going to hit first. Beyond a little bit delayed. We get into the main. Cyclones into the main base. Trading well with the Marines. Marines are going down, getting into the middle line. SCVs are falling as well. We got 7 SCVs in the main. At the same time, Beyond also across the map. Boys are being pulled. Beyond saves his Cyclones. Oliveira throws his away. So I have to give the edge to Beyond. Beyond loses 7 SCVs. Oliveira loses 6, but Beyond, he still has his Cyclones alive. And they're still gaining value. They trade with even more Marines. We back off. We keep them. Yeah, again, we keep them going. 4 Cyclones left behind this. 4th base on the way for both players. We're getting towards the mid-game. We're moving past this. Now, as the dust settles, as we're entering the mid-game, looking at the units tab, again, Beyond maintains his tank lead. Because of the trade that occurred, Beyond, he maintains his lead. He does still have a stronger army in a head-to-head fight. And the pressure is on Oliveira. As he does rotate around, he's spotted by Beyond. Oliveira in position to deny the 4th base. He does see the CC. He's going for it. He sims on forward and he does focus down the base. And it's going to go down. Big pick off. This is what Oliveira needed. To have a big anti-armor big disable on one of those tanks though. Oliveira pushing on forward, but he takes a bad fight. Oliveira overextends, loses every single Marine, and he will lose the tank as well. Ay, ay, ay. It started well. Oliveira killed the base, and then he overcommitted. He stimmed on 4 despite the anti-armor missile. Despite that spell, we get 8, 9 worker kills in the main base, 10 worker kills, 11, 12. We get 12 SCVs. From here, Bjarni gets shut down, but the Cyclones pay for themselves. They more than pay for themselves. We spoke about this. Cyclones, they get outscaled as the game goes on, so we had to get rid of them. And what a way to get rid of them. 12 SCV kills. With that, Bjarni has a massive lead. Sure, he lost the 4th. That is true. He's down a base. So Oliveira has the potential for a better economy, but Bjarni has a massive army. He's up in supply. He's pushing out. Disables here on the tanks once again. One tank still stands strong. Boys are being pulled. And it's a meat grinder. SCVs are falling so heavily here. The tank count overwhelms. Bjarni kills 20 workers. So again, even though Oliveira has a 4th up and running, doesn't matter. Does not matter. At least Oliveira holds onto the high ground with those tanks. We spoke about how defensive this position is and how difficult it is to push up this ramp. I stand by that. As we can see here, Oliveira, he holds. But it was still a rough trade. And Bjarni, he keeps the pressure up, going for a double drop on the right-hand side. His main army pushing towards the left. He's going to try and pull Oliveira apart. Again, Bjarni's up 40 supply. There's one tank in position. We can at least take down the sensor tower. Drop is going in. Sensor tower goes down. Yeah, as we sim on forward, we get into the middle line. SCVs are falling. Oh, Viking as well. Yeah, and again, Oliveira, he's just having a hard time holding onto both bases at once. As we even take down the gas geyser. Here we go. We can see Bjarni slowly edging closer here with his tanks. Liberators have arrived. We have freedom. But that's not a lot of freedom. The drop is still popping up for the main base. We still get another 6 SCVs. We stim on forward, we take down the Lib. We're within range of the Planetary, and how do we hold on? The Planetary under fire. I mean, we're saving it, we're protecting it, but again, that is so much lost mining time here with the SCVs not mining at all. We stim on forward, we dive on top of the tanks. Late response there by Bjarni. Late reaction from Bjarni, he will lose his tank line. A pretty big fight. A big fight there for Oliveira. He's holding. We're holding on. Meanwhile, Bjarni, he's on 4, soon to be 5 bases. He's working towards 3-3. He's reinforcing with more Marines, with more tanks. Surviving and defending is not good enough. Oliveira, he needs something to go his way, either to go for a big counterattack or catch the main army. He needs an efficient fight. As we sim on forward, we dive on that 3rd base. As we sim on forward, we take down the depots. Likewise, at the same time, Oliveira going for his own counterattack, getting another base as well. This base will not get up and running. We go for the 4th. And Bjarni turns everything back around. That's going to be a kill in the CC. A kill on the base. Drop in the main. See Bjarni just rotating around. Still, I mean, he did take some losses, but oh god, the drops, they don't stop. Ooh, bit of miss. No, we target down their own CC. The tanks. A bit of miscontrol there out of Oliveira. Did target his own tanks at the same time. Bjarni, he breaks that 3rd base finally for the first time. He's broken the base. He's broken through into the middle line. The CC under fire. SCVs are going down. And Oliveira barely can't hold on. Oh, no, it's even more workers full. 28 SCVs, not like this. At the same time, Oliveira does go for a counterattack. He does get damage done, but this is still not enough. 13 SCV kills will lose his drops. Oh my god, it's so close. They barely to escape. Beyond hunting him down. Chasing down the Revex. It goes down as well. Only one Marine survives here. Not even. Not even. Ay, ay, ay. As all that Oliveira can do is, again, survive. Now, there is a world if Oliveira can, like, build up a death ball of an army, he catches some tanks. Does get a couple of tanks here. Efficient trade by Oliveira. He gets the final tank. So again, Oliveira, he does out-trade, but it's not going to be enough. GG gets called. The writing was on the wall, and Björn takes a 2-0 lead. GG. GG, well played. Björn, one game away from taking this from winning and becoming this week's ESL Open Cup Asia champion. Can he take it in a clean sweep? Let me just double check here. Let me just double check for one moment. I believe Björn, did he drop a map so far? No. Björn, he has gone undefeated in a sense that he hasn't dropped up a single map in this tournament. Björn, he 2-0'd Nightmare, he 2-0'd Estrella, he 2-0'd Hero. And is he about to 3-0 Oliveira? Is he about to go for the kind of the perfect run here? Without a single blemish on his record. He's so close. Oliveira was fighting back. He had his moments in this game. He even had a couple of really good fights. If you remember the moment when things very quickly swung out of his favor, like things looking good when he killed the fourth. Remember, he caught the fourth base. And then he committed to a fight. He fought up a ramp and he lost everything. All of his Marines, all of his tanks. Oh, that really did seal the deal. Obviously, before that, it was a rough position. When he had a failed push at the third base. And in the end, Björn did snowball out of control. And now we're getting into game number 3. Also, fun fact, we spoke about this at the time. But technically, through a technicality, Oliveira is StarCraft's longest reigning world champion, if I'm not mistaken. Technically, Oliveira is the longest reigning world champion. The reason for this is because we haven't had an end-of-year world championship yet. We haven't had one yet because for those who are unaware, IEM Katowice this year was not the world championship. Technically, the 2023 season of StarCraft has not ended, and players are still accumulating points because the World Championship is now moved to Gamers 8. Gamers 8 is now the World Championship in a couple of months. That means that the season of 2023 is still going. There's still another DreamHack. I think DreamHack Dallas or DreamHack Houston. It's a DreamHack in Texas. Is coming up like in a month or two. It's DreamHack Spring or ESL Master Spring, which is still a part of last year's season. So it's a little bit messy, but technically, we have a reigning world champion, and he is still yet to be dethroned. And here we go. We're getting into our next game, into potentially the final game of the series. Spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Goldenrod, we have our South Korean Terran player, the Red Terran, representing Shopify Rebellion. It is Björn. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the Blue Terran player, representing CranKy Z Gaming. It is Oliveira. Can he fight back? He needs to here and now, otherwise it'll all be over before our eyes. This could be our final game. Could be our final game. But I believe it's not called Gamers 8 anymore. It's called the Esports World Cup, I think. It's called the Esports World Cup. Which is why, if you remember, if you're watching IEM Katowice live, as players were winning matches, they were handing out like qualifying spots for the World Championship at IEM. Which is, I think Cyril got his qualification spots, and I think Maru as well. They were like given these like big tablets to sign. So they were promoting it. That's the word. They were promoting it at IEM. That the World Championship is still on the horizon. Cyril is a world champion from previous IEMs, from previous world champions. That is true. But Oliveira is still our reigning world champion. Aye, aye, aye. As we get a double gas opener. Double gas opener here out of Oliveira into that factory. Meanwhile, Björn once again going for an economic opener, a racked expand. We've had the same dynamic every game. Every game, Björn has gone for an economic opener. Every game, Oliveira has gone double gas. We'll see where we go this time, though. We've seen Oliveira mix it up, and he has options. Okay, we're going into a Hellion. Are we reactoring out Reapers? I am curious here. We could go Reaper Hellion. Yep, there we go. We're going to be reacting out Reapers. It's going to be a 3 Reaper 2 Hellion push. We could go up to 5 Reapers as well. Very aggressive build here by Oliveira. This is very old school. This used to be a lot more common before the Cyclone. Fun fact. Before the new Cyclone, this used to be a more common build. The goal here is to get across the map, to get some SCV kills, to break through the defensive line of Reapers, and to get economic damage done. Now, there is a bit of a expiration date on this, though, because we have a Cyclone on the way, and Cyclones can do beautifully defensively to shut this build down. So we're just building up towards that Cyclone. I'm seeing the chat. Let's go. I'm not frozen, Pappy. I'm not frozen. Let's see, we go Oliveira. He is going for that mineral line with his Reapers and Hellions. Does get an SCV. Does get one worker kill. The Cyclone has right. We shut down the armory, though. We collapse on it. Can we focus down on the mule? We can. We get one mule. We get one more worker. 3 SCVs as Reapers. They dive into the main base, getting a couple of extra worker kills. 4 SCVs and a mule. Not too bad. 4 SCVs and a mule. But Oliveira will relinquish map control, and now Bjorn can push out. And there we go. The Cyclone drop is upon us. Cyclone drop is moving out. Likewise, so is Oliveira's. Getting 4 SCVs was good. That does even up the worker counts. That makes up for the fact that Oliveira's CC was more delayed. Oh, as he does catch the medevac. The drops, they come across each other. They come across each other. Oh god. As we focus down the medevac, and that's going to be a kill here. We shut down the drop of Bjorn. Not a bad start here for Oliveira. Killed some workers, shut down the drop. Shuts down the drop. And we go straight for a 3rd CC. Very greedy follow-up. That is a 3rd CC right after the starport. Very greedy build here by Oliveira. Likewise, we'll see what Bjorn goes for if he keeps up with his greed and goes for another 3rd CC as well. We saw it on Alcyone. There it is. 3rd CC is in production. So both players working towards a longer game. Both players are working towards it. Oliveira gonna try and go for his drop, but he is gonna be deflected. He is gonna be deflected here. As the game is gonna settle, we're gonna calm things down. Oliveira is threatening a drop with these 2 Cyclones. Likewise, Bjorn is gonna be threatening some Liberator harass as well. But outside of that, we're just building up towards the mid game. After the early aggression. Do you see the Cyclones coming in? We do get 2 SCVs, and we keep the Cyclones alive. Good damage dealt here by Oliveira. At the same time, Liberator also going towards that natural. Do we have a Viking? We do not. No Viking, just Cyclones and Marines. Oliveira rotating over. He does react in time, doesn't lose any SCVs, but he does lose mining time. Oh, ooh, bleeding out 1, bleeding out 2, no! 2 SCVs go down. So we do an even amount of damage. Liberator does survive, but we get the lock on, forcing it back. And we can see Bjorn working towards Bio Tank. Likewise, so is Oliveira. No one is playing mech. No one is whipping the mech out yet. As medevac does threaten a drop, is going to be denied. From here, we are just building up. Again, it's been pretty passive in the aftermath, especially because we haven't really focused on Cyclone production. I should have pointed that out as well. We've only built up towards 4 Cyclones for Oliveira. As the Liberator harass continues, delaying the engineering bay, getting 2 more SCVs. And Bjorn is now going to be the first to expand. Oh, I say that. My apologies. Second to expand, as Oliveira's already on location. Very nice juggling by Oliveira, avoiding those shots. Cute micro there from our blue Terran. Does clean up that lib, is going to get his 3rd base up and running. And again, both players just calming things down. Now, when it comes to the features of the map of Golden Aura, the rush distance by ground is quite short. It's quite short. So once we get into these big fights, if an engagement goes a certain way, it can very quickly escalate out of control. The reason for this is because it does not take long at all to get across the map. You know, we're like a screen away from each other. It's a very short rush distance. Fights can very quickly swing out of control, so we have to be careful with how we engage. Bjorn has his Onaga, going for a double drop into the main. Marines are in position, a Viking as well. Oh, and Bjorn, he does commit. Late reaction out of Oliveira. The tank does siege. Viking goes down, and Bjorn achieving quite a lot already. Going for Stim. Does a nice Stim. Big moment there for Bjorn. Oh, but he will lose his Metamax. Oh, heavy losses. As the tank barely survives. Getting some extra volleys off. Maybe getting the reactor. Nah, not quite. As it will fall. And that was a pretty big loss for Bjorn. Bjorn losing 2 full Metavacs there. He did delay Stim, which is nice, don't get me wrong. We'll see if we can capitalize on it. As Bjorn, he's got 1-1, he's got Stim, he's got combat shields. He is pushing, but his army is smaller as a result. There we go, boosting on forward into that main base once again. We do drop in. Bjorn, are we being too wasteful though? The Metavacs are going to be going down. Metavacs do fall, tank shots going off, but they're going to get cleaned up by the landed Vikings. At the same time, Bjorn pushes forward towards the 4th base, but there's nothing here. Bjorn bleeding out tanks. And we can see Bjorn fall behind in the supply quite heavily there. Tank shot's going to be going off. We do deny and we do delay that 4th. And Oliveira, he may just have too much. He's breaking on through. Auto turret's thrown down. And Oliveira will clean this up. Yeah, shuts down the tank, shuts down the push. Again, Bjorn being too wasteful too frequently here. A little bit too often. He threw away 4 full Metavacs already. And he bled out 2 additional tanks. Looking at the Unistab here, Bjorn is down to 1 tank. And Oliveira has 5. And Bjorn is not stopping. he's just non-stop, Bappy. Just keeping the pressure up. 4th base is being taken. And again, I feel like Bjorn might just be a little bit too aggressive right now. He's going to delay the base. Forces out the army. Another tank goes down. Bjorn, once again, bleeding out more and more tanks. Now, he does have his 4th up and running at least, so he has technically a better economy. It's also an orbital, which is a little bit greedy here for Bjorn. Orbital, not a planetary. Going for another double drop. The other big thing is that Bjorn is down in Metavacs because he's been throwing so many of them away. Drops at the 3rd, bleeds out more Marines. Pushing on the right-hand side, but we are in position. Again, because Oliveira has been maintaining his tanks, he has tanks defending both bases. He's already in position. Oliveira, he disables the tanks. Gets another. Gets both of them even. Once again, keeping Bjorn's tank count basically at 0. Now, Bjorn is mass expanding. You know, he's got his 4th. Now he's getting a 5th base. Again, all orbitals. Very greedy play here by Bjorn. So he's sustaining his losses, at least marine-wise. Tank-wise, it's looking a little bit dire. It does mean that if we ever get a head-to-head fight, Oliveira is going to be favored. In a head-on engagement, Oliveira is going to have quite a massive advantage with those tanks. As he is pushing. At the same time, Bjorn going for a Doom drop into the main once again. But the Vikings, we're in position. There are Vikings, there are turrets. We barely do avoid them. Vikings slightly out of position there. The Marines, they do just carpet bomb the main base. And we're camping the production. We take down the Vikings. We stim on forward. We take down 12 SCVs. Good damage. But can we get out of here or will we lose everything? We get a kill in the CC. A kill on the main base. I mean, this is pretty good here for Bjorn, not gonna lie. Remember, he reset the Viking count. Trading very nicely. Now he's gonna pick the hell up and get the hell out of here. Oh, as Bjorn is gonna bleed out every single unit. The Metavacs are gonna go down as well. Yeah, he gets cleaned up. Bjorn threatens the drop, is forced back. Now again, Bjorn, he killed 12 workers. He killed the main base. Reset the Viking count. But what about the tanks? We have 11 tanks! Like, Oliveira, he's been building up his tank count this entire time. He's got 11 tanks with his army against the 4 of Bjorn. Oh, do we catch them? We get 2. Very important. Bjorn, he catches 2 tanks. Basically, Bjorn is Mass Marine. He has 81 Marines. It's Mass Marine out of Bjorn, basically. He's got those 4 tanks. Bjorn has a very flexible army. Oh, has to be careful though taking these head-on fights. Yeah, and it looks like Oliveira, he's going to be able to barely break through. Yeah, he resets the tank count once again. 1 tank remains. Again, Bjorn's advantage is because he has so many Marines, he can go for this drop play, which is good. But these frontal engagements, he can't take. He cannot take them. Not against Oliveira. As we see Bjorn once again setting up Doom Drop. The Vikings, no! Again, Bjorn becoming a little bit predictable there with his movements. But he gets a Raven. Does pick off a Raven. Reinforcing towards the left. Does scan the main army here. These tanks looking a bit exposed. Bjorn, he dives. He's crazy. You can see how desperate Bjorn is to pick off these tanks. Did get 2 earlier. Oh my, he gets another one. Gets another tank. And potentially another here. Very good pickoffs here by Bjorn. Catches a couple of tanks. Catches the reinforcements. Gets a 3rd tank as well. Every tank he gets is so important. As he comes in from the right-hand side, Bjorn pulling Oliveira apart with the Mass Marine. Let's go. Picking up, dropping into the main. And the turrets have not been rebuilt. No turrets in the main base. We're looking exposed. Tanks likewise can be going down as well. We still on forward. We get another tank in the main at the same time. Bjorn pushing forward towards the 3rd base. And Oliveira, he can barely keep up. Nice anti-armor missile. Good Dorito cannon here on the army. We catch more tanks. And Bjorn, he's pulling Oliveira apart. He's doing a GG. Gets called as he overwhelms. And Bjorn will take the series 3-0, becoming this week's ESL Open Cup Asia champion. GG. Oh my god. Who needs tanks in TVT? I mean, really. I mean, Bjorn was being wasteful. He was throwing away a big portion of his army. That is all true, by the way. That is all true. And you can even see here that Oliveira's the blue line. Oliveira was perpetually ahead in army supply, ahead in tanks. But Bjorn had the better economy. Bjorn, he had the higher base count, the faster 4th, the faster 5th, the better economy, and he was just making non-stop Marine, and he was slowly gaining value towards the end. In the middle of the game, not really. Like, he was throwing away too much. I think he was being too wasteful, but then he caught some tanks, you know, he got a mineral line, he got a base, like, he was finally getting damage done towards the end, and eventually he did pull Oliveira apart. It was crazy. It was actually crazy, fam. GG, well played. Congratulations. Congratulations. As I'm even just rewatching the final moments of that game. And with that, Bjorn, he comes out here without dropping a single map. Doesn't drop a single map in the tournament. He's a madman. GG. And with that, that concludes our broadcast for the day. Well, for now. It concludes our broadcast for now. That is going to be the end of ESL Open Cup Asia, but that is merely only the Asia region. We have Europe and we have Europe and we have Americas coming up next. Let me quickly just check our calendar here. ESL Open Cup Europe is in 4 hours. In 4 hours time, this channel is going to be live once again with ESL Open Cup Europe. And ESL Open Cup Americas is in 11 hours. We will not be casting Americas live. If you've been familiar with our channel for the past couple of weeks, I'm no longer in Australia. When I was in Australia, I could cast Americas live. Here in Europe, Americas is just at a really bad time. So we usually cast Americas via replays. So we cast Asia and Europe live, Americas via replays. When I'm in Australia, it's the opposite. When I'm in Australia, it's Asia and Americas live and Europe via replays. So again, Americas is going to be a replay cast later on in the week. Instead. Meanwhile, Europe will be live in 4 hours. In 4 hours time. So stay tuned for that. Mark your calendar, set your alarms. We'll be back here in a couple of hours with Europa. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. We do appreciate it. Again, if you're curious, a lot of the typical casters that we would have here, like Wardy. Usually Wardy is also casting in English. He's not live today because a bunch of the casters are traveling. Both Wardy and Zombie Grub, they're both traveling to LA in the Americas. And I believe Rotterdam was traveling to Germany for the Gabe event. There was a Gabe event over the weekend. So a lot of the casters are traveling. They won't be able to cover ESL Open Cups live, unfortunately. So that's why they weren't available. I don't really know what's happening. I think it's like Microsoft related in LA. I don't know. I'm not too certain, but I'm sure we'll all find out soon. You know, keep an eye out on Twitter and Instagram and social medias to figure out what exactly is happening in the land of the Americas. But yeah, that's why they're traveling. That's why Wardy wasn't casting. That's why Wardy wasn't casting, and he probably won't cast this week. But I'm sure he'll be back next week. He'll be back. So again, if you're more of a Wardy viewer, you can watch there. Steadfast, Rotterdam, Zombie Grub, all the other lovely English coverage that does go on. So yeah, consider it. Is great, and they should be back in the coming weeks. I don't know. I think maybe Rotterdam will be back for EU because he only traveled to Germany. I think it's like a short trip back to the Netherlands. So he'll be able to cover EU. Outside of that, I'm not too certain what other English coverage will be available. So keep an eye out for it. Keep an eye out for it. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. Thanks so much for the support. We're going to be heading off here. We're going to be heading off for now. Take this moment to get some food, get some rest, get some water. I'm going to go take a break. I'm gonna go take a break, and we'll be back later. If you want to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Discord. !socials! !socials in the chat, and you can get a link to all of our social media. And you can also follow us on YouTube. !YouTube in the chat, where you can watch our VODs on YouTube. If you can't watch live, YouTube is uploaded and updated on a daily basis. We have plenty of content on the YouTube, so follow us there if you're interested. Otherwise, we'll be back in 4 hours. Until then, thank you so much for watching. Hasta luego. Ciao, papi, ciao. Hasta luego.